Hello guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Naruto and Hinata are finally married and blessed with two twins part 1. And subscribe if you enjoy the video. And also check the description. So let's begin the story. We better lay low. Ordered a sound Nin, who was the leader, hiding within the forest with two other of his allies. One of them was injured, so they needed the rest. Are you sure no one could spot us? Asked his uninjured subordinate cautiously. If any shinobis find us, we're in deep trouble. Damn it, I'm sick of this hiding shit. I don't remember signing up for this shit. We were supposed to beat those Konoha freaks, but what gives? That Orochimaru gave the signal a month early and the attack was so uncoordinated. Damn this, we have to get back to the sound soon. Sorry guys. I'm sorry for slowing you down. Groaned the injured shinobi painfully. Hey, it ain't your fault, assured the subordinate to the best of his ability. Who would have known that silver-hair boy to be that powerful? He was the one who messed up this entire operation, said the leader. I ain't here to put up with this shit. Those genins were exceptionally tough. This is such bullshit. It's like we were sent on a suicide mission. I don't recall joining in for this shit. This is crazy. This is crap, man. This is bullshit. This is really shit. You better keep it down. And stop swearing, the subordinate advised quietly. The leader only flashed an annoyed glare. We better leave soon, said the wounded ninja weakly. No need, it's not like the fact anyone is here. I hope. Guess again. An unfamiliar voice came from above, shocking the three sound Nins. Their eyes widened in fear, knowing who it was. The mysterious figure gave a dark and amused grin. This would prove to be interesting. The unknown shinobi then flashed a pair of radiating teal eyes. Those on the ground twitched and trembled in horror. It's him, that guy with the sword, shouted the wounded Chunin in alert, pointing upward. You got that right, said Naruto darkly as another smirk came across his face. We'll deal with him, the leader declared as he and the other uninjured shinobi prepared themselves to engage the Death Knight. Naruto simply smirked and vanished abruptly. The two sound Nins were now terrified. At that mark, the leader gasped in sudden pain. His expression was a terrifying one when he vomited blood from his mouth as the knight's rune blade pierced through his intestines, leaving him to have a slow and pitiful death. The leader fell on the ground backwards. That action caused the blade to venture deeper into his flesh, creating more sensations of agony. A smile crept up on the Death Knight's face. That position of dying was so amusing to watch. Not to mention dramatic. As the other Chunin attempted to attack Naruto, the boy readily faulted his body to avoid it. It was then when Naruto used his left hand and rushed through the Chunin's chest, forcefully destroying his flesh until Naruto's arm came out the other end. No doubt the victim was screaming in excruciating pain. It was music to Naruto's ears. The Death Knight smirked sinisterly as he began to apply more force in his left arm, making a tearing action. The Chunin cried in even more pain as he figured out what the boy was trying to do. As he weakly glimpsed the dark shinobi, Naruto gave him a look saying he was correct. At that instant, the Chunin was torn apart in two vertically when Naruto ripped his hand right out of the body. He made sure the Chunin would never have any kids. Who was he kidding? He tore him in a way that he was immediately killed. Piles of bloody mess and meat scattered everywhere, and some of the flesh was still in the boy's hand. The remaining shinobi was as pale as snow. Naruto, with his hand covered with blood, took back his blade that was in the leader's body and charged it with energy. He eyed the survivor with a sinister smile. He knew his victim was a goner. As he pointed the blade aiming at the face, bullets of terror sweat came from the survivor's neck and forehead. Don't cry, said Naruto with a hidden lust for blood. Now say die. Once the energy was released, flashes of raging lightning and a scream of absolute terror could be heard from the distance. So it begins again. Naruto ejected himself high to the trees and decided to scout using his eyes after an hour's worth of travel when he left the hotel. It was a wise idea for him to do so since he wanted to sense the Senin's chakra signature within his bloodline's ability. He knew he couldn't sense the chakra if the person was too far off. He needed to know if he was at least within a decent distance. As he engaged his unholy sight and scanned the area with his magnification distance of 80 meters, he could tell something was amiss. He couldn't read any chakra levels, as if that ability was disabled. With only the see-through, 80 meters of closer view, reading thoughts in extreme close range and able to witness demons. His eyes were nearly completely useless in his search. What in the heck was going on here? "Hey, Kyubi-chan," called the Death Knight in his head. "I need your help now." "What is it, my little dark one?" asked the Demon Master playfully. Naruto sighed at her behavior. She could be so cute at times. "It's about my eyes," Naruto stated flatly. "What about them?" asked Kyubi innocently. "I can't read chakra signatures, that's what." Naruto replied, obviously not enjoying that tone his master was using. "You should have known your eyes were damaged before." "Damaged?" he asked in disbelief. "When did it happen? Why didn't I know?" "Yes, when Sasuke used that jutsu of his and ignited the wall. Sparks of that chakra flared and blinded part of your ability since your eyes were activated. You must have looked into it directly." "I don't think I did." "Then the flares must have entered your eyes," Kyubi explained. The Death Knight could only blink in confusion. "Chakra is an essence, not a physical object. It could enter through your body, and you may not know it. You have to be more careful in the future. Without the detection ability, my search would take a lot longer." Naruto blurted out, not believing this. "These things happen, at least you're not blind. Don't worry, it's only temporary. I'm sure you will heal in days." "Days? I don't have days. Not having that ability is a huge disadvantage in battle. You're looking for that Bachan, not to pick a fight with her. It's just a minor setback." Kyubi took a good glimpse of her young apprentice, who had his hand forming a tight fist. She obviously figured that her words were not all out pleasing to the Dark Warrior. This could get bothersome. "Don't worry about it too much. As long as you know where you're going, you'll be fine." Kyubi then hugged her apprentice softly. "Don't bother me now. I'm going to take a nap." "Wait, what if I need you to help me again? I'm sure you can deal with it on your own." With that, the demon vanished just when the warrior wanted to protest. Naruto just let out a grunt of distress, also wanting to shake his fist angrily. This was not good. He couldn't believe he would now continue the mission blindly. In a sense, he had no idea where the target may be. With his eyes partially disabled, he had to be more alert. He sighed once again before executing a jump and continued on with his task. Eyes or no eyes, he was determined to finish this mission even if he had to drag himself back to Konoha. He made himself a pact. He wasn't going to break it now. Konoha needed this as if its future depended on it. The mission must be completed, that was what he must do. Meanwhile, Hinata and Sakura were in the state where they urged themselves not to cry when they carried Sasuke back to Konoha. They couldn't believe what they just witnessed moments before. Sasuke was pummeled to a defenseless state in 2 hits, and Naruto showing no signs of remorse or the intention of stopping the older Uchiha. If Hinata heard carefully, it was Naruto who commanded Itachi to knock Sasuke out. However, when they thought that was crushing, they've seen nothing yet until Naruto used his eyes to demand them to leave. His voice was as cold as ice itself, or colder. They've never been yelled at like that from the Death Knight. For both girls it wasn't something that easy to swallow. It was then when Hinata lost her composure and wept out loud. "Hinata-san," said Sakura while enraged as she remembered Naruto's face. "Don't cry. If you do you'll make me cry too." "I can't," cried Hinata as she tried to wipe her tears, but to no avail. It just wouldn't stop. "You don't need to care about that bastard anymore." "Don't call Naruto-kun a bastard," snapped the heiress harshly while sobbing. "He is your brother. I don't have the right to call him a bastard now, Hinata?" questioned the pink-haired genin, returning an equal amount of raging emotions. Sasuke-kun got beat up and Naruto and Ai-chan didn't do a thing to stop him. He just let it happen in front of his face. If he had a conscience, he would have done something. Anything. Hinata couldn't argue with that at all. She was speechless. Not only that, he left the village without saying a single word. How do you explain that? He didn't tell me or Sasuke-kun, but more importantly he didn't even tell you. Do you think there's a problem with that? I think that Anai-chan has betrayed us and joined Itachi and that other bastard. Don't jump to such conclusions, Sakura-san. What other assumptions are left for me to choose from? If he isn't on their side, why isn't he here with us right now like he should be? He must have a reason. Do you still believe him after that? Sakura questioned her best friend in disbelief and fury. She soon grinned a dark smirk. Has his charm got to you? Has he brainwashed you so much that he corrupted your thinking? He yelled at you with the most cold face I've seen him make to the both of us. You and I both know Naruto-kun well, justified Hinata, standing her ground. He would never do something like that if he didn't have a good reason. If he was helping Uchiha Itachi all along, why bother saving the leaf from the Sound's invasion? Why did he even attempt to accept people as his friends? If he was part of them, he can't afford to have connections with anyone. Hinata then wiped a remaining tear on her face. A quick realization hit her. I think Naruto-kun is hiding something from us. What makes you say that? Asked the Emerald Eye girl curiously but still angry. Did you remember seeing the names on the entry clipboard? Hinata asked her friend, trying to remember. This was her only hope. I don't recall it, we left in a hurry. I remember seeing Naruto-kun's name. Hinata then finally grinned a hopeful grin. What does that supposed to mean? If he's not planning to return, he wouldn't have signed it. Your point being? He's hiding something from us, I can tell. You're putting too much faith in him, Hinata-san, Sakura said in a growl. A snarl might have been put in there as well. He's the man I love. I have to believe him. What are you going to do now? I'm going to find out what he is up to. I'm following him. It was then when the heiress turned around and made a sprint to the direction she came from. Hey, if you're going then I'm coming with you, Sakura called to her friend, nearly yelling. Hinata stopped and shook her head gently with a smile. You should take care of Sasuke-kun. I'm sure he would like to see you there when he wakes up. Sakura sighed in defeat. Hinata made a good point. If she left now, who would take Sasuke back to the hospital? Sakura didn't have the heart to abandon the man she loved to die like this. With a farewell wave, Hinata formed a series of hand seals and disappeared in a flash. Sakura frowned as her friend left. Somehow a sense of loneliness overwhelmed her heart. She glanced at the fainted Uchiha who was leaning against a tree and went to him. She kissed him softly on the cheek before lifting him back in an aiding position. Hinata-san and Ai-chan, please come back soon. Those were the final words Sakura spoke to the winds before heading back to their home. Raising her head to take a good glimpse at the sky, she frowned sadly. Things were taking a turn for the worst. At the same time in the headquarters of the Sound, damn this pain! Cried Orochimaru in most agony. He was thrashing his arms in a frenzied state due to the torment of the effects that the death god had given him when he encountered the third. Even though he had killed the third Hokage, he didn't find this as a victory. He considered it a stalemate, or something lower. He may have murdered the third, but the cost of this was to lose all of his techniques. Not only that, he needed to kill that Death Knight who made a fool out of him during the exam. Not only was he beaten to a certain extent, and Orochimaru still won in the end, so Naruto technically lost, he failed to give both Sasuke and Naruto the cursed seal. The plan was after the third was finished by his hands, he could get Naruto for certain, but this was the outcome. How could he have been so naive? It only angered him more as each passing second went by. Orochimaru-sama called a servant in a panic, rushing to his side. Are you okay? Do you need your medicine? It was then when the snake Tsunade flashed a jeopardous glare and plowed his arm through the servant's chest, killing him in an instant. Blood splattered everywhere, but he had no mood to care. What's the matter now, Orochimaru-sama? Asked a familiar person who was standing a good distance from the Tsunade. What does it look like, Kabuto? Orochimaru returned the inquest with a harsh snarl. My hands are burning with pain, that's what. Then why aren't you taking your medicine? I don't need your damn medication, fool. Their effects do minimal recovery. Taking it is better than not taking it, you know. Kabuto stated as if it was the correct decision. Shut up, don't make me kill you. Orochimaru threatened dangerously, but Kabuto simply smirked. I don't think you would be able to do that anytime soon, Orochimaru-sama. You don't think I am able to? No, not that, Kabuto assured calmly. It's just that you wouldn't be able to do that in the state the Sound is in right now. After that kind of unprepared attack, we did lose a lot of men, and killing me isn't the wisest thing a leader like you should be doing. You are always expendable, am I? The old blood in me can still prove useful to you. You wouldn't go wasting it now, would you? The Sannin merely snickered darkly. You are always so sharp. It's that fact that makes me can't trust you completely. I'm the only true ally you've got. Trust is like a game, you have to earn it. Don't worry, the Sound still has enough men. No they don't, corrected Kabuto, cutting him off. Most of them have been killed, and I'll be blunt to you, most of the casualties happened in the arena. Orochimaru winced in pure anger. How could he have made such a huge miscalculation? He cursed himself at his own carelessness. It was obvious that the casualties were this high because of 3 shinobis: Naruto, the girl from Air, and that mist boy. How about the retreating platoons? Orochimaru asked, knowing some of them did retreat, and some did arrive back to the sounds safely. About 70% of the survivors made it back. The Senin's eyes raised a bit hearing those words. What happened to the remaining 30%? He seethed, his words demanding an answer. Stop stalling and tell me, damn it! Some were still hiding out in the outskirts of Konoha due to injuries. That alone should be fine, but they were under attack midway. I heard it from the communication radio just now, and I'm sure that I heard him say Uzumaki Naruto was down there. I'll assume they have all been killed, so that Uzumaki is still alive. It's a good thing I killed those 2 who fought him for failing. That Death Knight is too powerful. I don't think you should be wasting any more men at a time like this, advised Kabuto warningly. You are thinning out the chances of survival for the Sound by doing so. I don't need you to tell me what to do. Orochimaru hissed threateningly, not wanting his pride to suffer any more than it already has. Kabuto, have you found the person that I need to look for to heal my arms? We've located her, Orochimaru-sama. However, I wonder if Tsunade-sama would just do that favor for you that easily. You do have to tell her that you killed the 3rd. It doesn't matter, I know Tsunade the best. I'll have a way to convince her, so don't worry. It was then when Orochimaru awkwardly got off his bed and prepared to leave the room. Come on, we're going. Kabuto smirked and followed, knowing he would be Orochimaru's right-hand man. Shortly after, the 2 left the vicinity and headed straight for their target at a considerate pace. 2 hours later, at a town in the west at about 6:30 p.m., Naruto managed to arrive at the next town around that evening. He would have made it faster, but he had some matters that he had to attend to. Most of them were obliterating some other Sound Chunins who were taking shelter until the situation was more promising for them. However, Naruto wouldn't allow them to do that. Those who threatened his friends didn't deserve the gift of life. Anyone who helped Orochimaru was guaranteed to meet their maker if the demon hunter had hands on them. He just couldn't fully continue his mission until all other loose ends were tied up. The boy ventured into the town. He immediately grimaced when he saw a festival was happening. Based on some of the banners, it told him this thing would last for 3 days. 3 days. This would be like an invitation to hell, but in a much happier atmosphere. To Naruto, there wasn't much of a difference. Obviously, the place was crowded, bright, and not to mention loud. He hated these types of places. He wondered if Hinata liked them. As he pondered a bit more, Naruto safely jumped to the conclusion that his girlfriend preferred to have time alone with him instead of this. He smiled a bit and decided to continue the investigation. If I was Tsunade, where would I be? Naruto asked himself that question once every minute while looking at every shop he passed by. Because without his detection, the wisest option he had was to start thinking like his target. Even though he knew the slug Sannin, her attitude indeed made her quite a spontaneous woman. He was beginning to understand how Hinata felt at times toward his delinquency. In a weak, exasperated voice, Naruto sighed a bit when he saw a bar. Despite how much he hated those places, those happened to be places where most info was. After 1 hour and searching through bars, restaurants, mini casinos, and nightclubs, Naruto had found absolutely nothing. Not only that he didn't find anything, people were looking at him funny. The boy could tell it wasn't because of his demon heritage, it was something else. In this kind of remote region, they might not know the history of Kyubi. Luckily, he noticed how people were looking at his clothes, which were covered in fresh blood. In spite the Death Knight tried to avoid these gazes of confusion, he had to admit it was a bit agitating. The Dark Shinobi was beginning to hate this mission as time went on. Searching for someone was unquestionably annoying, not to forget tiring. The Death Knight looked at his watch. It said it was nearly 8 p.m. Seeing there was no point in searching any longer, he decided to look for an inn to rest. This time around, he won't be involved in any wall explosions, at least he hoped. As he signed in and was given a room, he went to the room that he was assigned to. Once he walked in, he saw the feathery bed at the side of the room. Naruto immediately fell asleep on it, and rested his mind elsewhere. Quickly making a pact in his mind, the Death Knight intended to pursue the search early the next day. 2 hours later, Hinata's situation. The Hyuga heiress panted heavily in exhaustion after that final blink that she did. She then fell on her knees due to the limited chakra she had left within her. If she recalled correctly, she did around a set of 24 blinks consecutively, and traveled about 5 kilometers. At this stage, exhaustion would only be an understatement, dead tired was more like it. However, she wondered why it was so draining. It was then when a small warning appeared in her head. Naruto warned her once about this technique. It was good for escape in and out of combat, and one-shot travel, but using blink as if it was your source of movement was never advised since considerable amounts of chakra would be required after several times in a row. Hinata cursed herself for not remembering what her boyfriend had told her when the first time he taught it to her. She caused herself to be in this moment. From a short distance she could see bright lights of various colors. She was curious to know more. Her body miraculously gathered enough strength for her to walk. As she made her way into this town, she could tell a major social event took place. Little did she know, this was the same path Naruto walked a few hours back. Despite how much she wanted to check out this festival, she at least wanted to scout this place with Naruto by her side. Come to think of it, ever since they have been together, they hadn't gone out on a date once. Hinata silently pouted at that thought. She couldn't believe that it never hit her before. They have been together for how long? She then thought about it, and the conclusion was around 3 weeks. The Hyuga girl flushed a bit as she remembered that they made out more than actual dating. She soon giggled at the times she would make him fall in her touch. Even though she could think about him all night, Hinata knew better to daydream at this hour. 1. It was pitch dark. 2. She would look kind of silly if anyone caught her like this. Hinata was getting tired herself. Luckily she had enough money with her to stay at an inn or something in that category. When she found one, she didn't hesitate to go in and stay for the night. Little did she know that the person she was searching for was resting in this exact same place. What dramatic irony, she didn't suspect a thing. "Good evening, miss," greeted the attendant who was luckily a female. "Looks like you're running late." "Yeah, I am," replied Hinata timidly. "Sorry if I troubled you for coming in at this time." "No problem. If people won't come and stay here, I'm sure my job won't last long." Hinata giggled at her joke. It certainly sounded humorous to her ears. "Anyway, would you please tell me your name?" "I am Hyuga Hinata and I'm from Konoha." The attendant raised her brow a bit and smiled. Her expression didn't go unnoticed by the Hyuga heiress. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. It's just like we have quite a few young people like you from Konoha coming here tonight. There has been another person like me here? Could it be Naruto-kun? Do you know his name?" Hinata asked rather hopefully in a polite voice and gesture. "Let's see the records here." The worker then turned a page and saw the record. The person is a boy with a sword, anyone could remember that. Hinata was getting desperate. His name is Uzumaki Naruto. Hinata mentally was jumping in absolute delight hearing his name. Outside, she simply smiled. She had to admit that her acting skills were improving quite well. "Oh, what a coincidence. He's my friend," she lied somewhat smiling brightly. He was her boyfriend. "Which room is he in?" "He's in room 229. Do you mind if you take the single room next to his?" "That's room 230. Hinata then showed a small frown. It was insignificant so the attendant didn't catch it. "Is his room a single room too?" asked the heiress politely. "Yeah, all the rooms on the second floor are like that." "I think you need your rest, you seem to be really out of it." Hinata looked away nervously. Her shell was being shot through like glass, indeed she was tired. As she dragged herself up to the second floor, she stopped at room 229 and leaned on the door. "Should I surprise Naruto-kun?" She thought about trying to make a decision. Should I enter his room and then make him jump? That would be so funny. As she wanted to blink inside, another thought struck her mind. She remembered what Naruto said to her when she did it the first time. Naruto told her that it was immoral for people to abuse their abilities. Just because you have it, it doesn't mean anyone could just use it as if you want to. She didn't want to upset the boy for doing that. The Hyuga girl then yawned softly. She could tell that she was tired. As a tear of tiredness escaped her eyelids, the best option was to sack up. She would surprise him tomorrow, She could hardly wait until it was daybreak. Once Hinata entered her room, she quickly took a shower and prepared herself for the day ahead. The next morning at 4:30 a.m., Naruto woke up the next morning when the sky was still dark. He looked at the clock by the bed. It told him it was 4:32 in the morning. He grinned immediately, knowing this was a good time to start the day. As he poured hot water in his instant ramen, Naruto made his way into the washroom with a new change of clothes. He couldn't believe he was so tired last night that he forgot to take a shower. The odor on the bed was quite irritating at this point. Blood was stained all over it. 10 minutes later the Death Knight exited the bathroom in similar style of clothing, and this time with a cloak. He needed stealth. This black cloak could prove to be useful. He then reached for his now prepared instant ramen and consumed it in 5 minutes flat. As he made his way out of the room, he made a final check before leaving just in case he didn't leave anything valuable or crucial. Somehow, he could feel a very pleasant aura nearby. Unbelievably, it made him smile genuinely. Why does it feel so nice here? He asked himself, not knowing that Hinata was in the room next to his sleeping soundly. It's also very familiar. Why can't I stop smiling? It really does feel warm and welcome. I don't remember feeling like that when I arrived. Maybe I'm just in a good mood today. He quickly banished that thought in his mind and continued with his task, not even thinking where the source of that aura was from. Once that was done, he went to the lobby and paid the bill that he needed to give. "Good morning, sir," greeted the same attendant. Naruto wondered if she was someone that didn't need rest. "What brings you up this early in the morning? Did you not have a good sleep?" "I had a great one, thank you," said Naruto calmly, devoid of much emotion. "I'm just going to check out." "But it's 5 a.m., don't you want to stay for breakfast?" "Aren does provide that." "There's no need for that," Naruto stated flatly, ending the conversation completely. "How much do I owe you?" "That would be 7,500 yen, please," the attendant said politely, even though she found the boy's attitude was very dark. Naruto then took out his wallet and gave them 8,000 yen. "That will be 500 yen change." However, the boy simply smiled. "Just keep it, your hospitality was very much appreciated." With that, Naruto took out his blindfold and tied it around his eyes. Part of it was covered by the forehead protector with the symbol of the leaf on it. The inn-worker didn't know why he needed one when she knew his eyes could see. She ignored it since it looked really cute on him. Once that was dealt with, the Death Knight went on his way towards the exit without a single word. As the woman looked at his backside, she noticed that he had a long blade equipped on his. She then remembered she told someone about him a few hours back. Just when she tried to call him to get his attention, Naruto was already outside walking away. She decided to drop it. 2.5 hours later at 7:30 a.m., Hinata snapped her eyes open at that exact moment. She looked around trying to remember where she was. She didn't recall ever sleeping in this room before. Suddenly, yesterday's events began to kick into her system. In a sudden realization, Hinata remembered why she was out in these regions. She wanted to search for her lover. It was also at that point when she remembered that Naruto was in the room next to hers. She jumped a bit with absolute joy. Hinata couldn't wait to see him again, but more importantly to get the entire truth from him. After her daily routines, which were much quicker than usual for obvious reasons, she rushed out of her room and sprinted to the room that said 229. However, when she made it there, a cleaning maid came out from the room. Hinata knew that she had been cleaning there, but that only meant one thing. She just hoped it wasn't true. "Miss," Hinata called to the cleaning maid in a hurry. "Was there anyone in that room?" "No, when I entered an hour ago, there was no one there." Hinata's mind shot from partially awake to complete alert immediately. There was no one in there an hour ago, the Hyuga girl noted to herself. This isn't good. "Thanks so much, thank you." After that gratitude, Hinata dashed to the lobby to look for the information she needed while leaving a very confused maid watching her. "What was that about?" thought the maid in much astonishment. "She's sure one strange girl." The maid banished that thought at the back of her mind, and the son continued with her own tasks. "Miss," Hinata called in a hurry while she nearly tripped while running. "I need to ask you something." "What is it? Why are you in such a hurry? Is something wrong?" The attendant lady was shocked at that outburst from the Hyuga girl. "I just want to know that boy from 229, is he still here?" Hinata asked between breaths. Are you talking about that cute silver-haired boy with the sword along with a blindfold? Hinata nodded quickly, wanting a response at that instant. I don't think you would be able to find him. He checked out over 2 hours ago. He checked out? Over 2 hours ago? Oh Naruto-kun, how am I going to kill you? Hinata stated that mental statement threateningly. The in-worker nodded with a smile. Hinata's face went from drained to exasperated. Yeah, I wanted to tell him that he had a friend here. Why didn't you halt him? Questioned the heiress in disbelief. I tried to buy him when I remembered he was already gone. Once hearing that justification, Hinata grunted noticeably with annoyance. It's so like you Naruto-kun, to just come and go so mysteriously. She made this mental note admiringly. Then an irritated frown appeared, and for that, you are so impossible. How much do I owe the inn? Hinata asked with a slight want to deal with things as quickly as possible. She was in a desperate hurry at this stage. 7,500 yen please. The heiress easily placed 8,000 yen on the counter and bid a farewell before the attendant could even give back the change. At the next second, Hinata disappeared in a warp, leaving the in-worker in amazement of confusion. The Hyuga girl had no time to spare. She was hours behind her target. Knowing Naruto would be traveling quicker than her, those few hours meant many more time was lost. She narrowed her eyes in irritation and cursed herself mentally for not to wake up earlier or as early as him. Meanwhile, somewhere in the fire country outside a mini casino, Tsunade-sama groaned Shizen, not very pleased. I suggest that you quit gambling while you're ahead. You've been losing at least 16 times in a row, not to mention that you lost a lot of cash this time. Don't say that, Shizen, said Tsunade with a nervous grin on her face. You're saying that I'm bad at this? I've been doing this for years already. I'm bound to get it right sooner or later. Shizen's face, however, didn't change at all. You don't have that kind of money to waste trying to get it right. You do know why your nickname is the Legendarier? That's because you keep losing, and you truly are. Don't you remember how Itachi-kun and Kisame-kun called you the first time they met you? Yeah, I remember, replied the Sannin dully, trying not to remember what Itachi's nickname for her was. Hey Shizen, don't say I am that bad. There are things that I do win at. Like what, Tsunade-sama? Asked Shizen, crossing her arms while looking at the Sannin closely. Let's try rock, paper, scissors. Shizen nodded and shook her hand 3 times before revealing a pair of scissors while Tsunade made paper. The attendant's grin became wider while Tsunade was fuming inwardly. This doesn't count, best 2 out of 3. Again, Shizen agreed and dueled again. Time passes, I don't want to do this anymore, pleaded Shizen on her knees with a puppy look. Let me go, Tsunade-sama. Come on, just one more time, said Tsunade with much fiery determination. I'm going to win this time for sure. Just quit it already. You've lost 94 matches in a row. Isn't this enough for you yet? And 94, that's a lot of losses on a mere game of rock, paper, scissors. Man, she's at this. Of course I made her that way because I like to dramatize her misfortune. No! Snapped the blonde-hair woman, flashing a glare. When it came to gambling, no one could outdo her. Oh, please, I'm not doing this any longer. Come on, Shizen, just one more round, I promise. You said one more round 90 games ago, argued the black-haired woman. You have to keep your word, you know. You are a respectable Sannin. Besides, I don't want to waste all my morning on rock, paper, scissors only. Fine, said the Sannin, giving in as well. Deep down she didn't want to witness herself in another losing scenario. Her pride was on the line here. This was a pure game of chance, and she messed it up completely. But I'm going to another gambling shop. Care to join me? Fine, be that way. This was definitely better than playing another match of rock, paper, and scissors. After this day, this had to be Shizen's most hated game on her list. She didn't want to be forced into another game like that anytime soon. Inside another casino nearby. You hit the jackpot, exclaimed Shizen as 3 sevens appeared on the slot machine where Tsunade was playing. The female Sannin grinned as her luck finally changed. Loads of coins rushed out soon after. Would you look at that, said Tsunade, really happy. I got it on my first try. Congratulations, Tsunade-sama. Thanks. However, it was then when Tsunade pulled the rod to play again, she achieved the same results. You got another jackpot, shouted the attendant with joy. However, this time around Tsunade merely grinned with not much signs of excitement. As time passed by, more and more jackpots came and eventually Tsunade was dead silent with a suspicious look while Shizen was still cheering. The young black-haired woman's cheering alone alerted others around who were amazed at Tsunade's great luck. Little did everyone know, the slug Sanine was having uneasy thoughts about this. I'm winning so much. Tsunade thought emotionlessly. Why don't I feel happy? Why do I believe something is going to go wrong? I can't get this feeling out of my spine. Is it just me or is this feeling telling me something? When Tsunade was done with her gambling, Shizen was amazed at the amount that her master had won. There were at least 24 million yen there. She had never seen Tsunade having this kind of luck. However, the Sanine didn't look one bit happy. Something was amiss. She could feel an unpleasant aura nearby but just couldn't grasp at what it was that bothered her so much. And that is about 300,000 Canadian and around 210,000 American. This is a lot of money. I just wish I was 18 and win big time. One advice from me, don't gamble, it will ruin your life. Come on Tsunade-sama, called Shizen running after her master with 2 suitcases of cash. Why do you seem so unhappy? We did win a lot back there. Just be quiet, okay? Oh, cheer up. 24 million yen is a lot of money. It's not about the money. Tsunade growled in a harsh tone. Shizen knew when to keep her mouth shut. I'm sorry, something just got to me. It's okay. Tsunade-sama, said Shizen in a timid voice. I was just wondering if we could visit the castle before we leave. The castle? Asked Tsunade, turning her head over her shoulder slightly. Why do you want to go there? It's the key monument in this town. We have to visit it. You can tell that it is absolutely beautiful. It looks like any ordinary castle to me if you want my honest opinion. We don't get to see that many castles these days. Come on Tsunade-sama, let's go. The blonde-haired woman bit her lips softly. She could feel the aura getting stronger with each passing second. Deep down she wanted to get out of this town as soon as possible. The last option for her was to linger any longer than necessary. No, we're getting out of here now, stated the Sanine as a demand. However, before she could make her point straight, Shizen already took off with the suitcases of money, forcing Tsunade to follow her attendant. A few minutes wouldn't hurt, right? At the outskirts of the town that Tsunade was currently in. Looks like I find myself in another town, thought Naruto from a higher peak, watching the area with his unholy sight scanning the area. He cursed himself when he found his detection ability still wasn't enabled yet. This was troublesome indeed. In truth, he was at least several kilometers away from the town. If it wasn't for the height he was in, he wouldn't be able to see the higher buildings. The key building had to be the large isolated building that was a small distance away from the town. It was on a high peak location, and he could identify that it was the castle that Itachi and Kisame mentioned earlier. A grin came across his face. With any luck he would be able to find Tsunade in there somewhere. I bet she is still here. The Death Knight decided to observe the castle a bit longer. From here, the castle looked like a sanctuary in the divine sky. He was astonished by the beauty of the ancient monument. It looked as if it was surrounded by clouds. Itachi was right, this was easy to spot. Just when he thought that he could enjoy the scene a little while longer, the castle erupted in a violent ignition. What the hell just happened? Naruto noted to himself in shock. He then magnified his vision by 80 meters. That short distance alone did the task just fine when he was able to identify what those things coming out were. His eyes widened in disbelief when he saw giant snakes coming out from the ruins of the castle. This didn't look like something that was non-hostile. The Dark Warrior could tell who summoned those serpents. There was only one person he knew that had that technique. Naruto quickly leaped from his spot and dashed in a quick sprint towards the town. He ran as fast as his legs could take him. Orochimaru's aura was present. He could feel it in the bottom of his corrupted veins. What in the hell is that bastard doing here? Said the Death Knight in his head to himself. Damn it, I don't know, answered Kyubi doubtfully. I know you can't expect anything with his presence around. I don't care why he's showing up in this kind of remote region. I seriously don't expect he is here to do any sort of sightseeing. You can count on it. Be careful, my little dark one. Don't worry, I will. I'll make sure he suffers. He then executed a jump to the air, forming a hand seal. Instantly he disappeared in a warp using the move Blink. He will eliminate all obstacles. Back to Tsunade. What is this? Asked Shizen in absolute vigilance, as she heard the explosion from the castle. Tsunade somehow expected this kind of entrance, but when she saw giant anacondas rising from the ruins, her eyes narrowed with fury. As the two ladies looked at the top of the chieftain serpent's head, she saw two figures. The one with large round glasses was a mystery to them, but the other one certainly proved otherwise. Orochimaru, thought Tsunade dangerously. What do you think you're doing here showing yourself to me? Shizen quickly prepared herself for combat. She noted that this could probably be her final fight. So, she's the person Orochimaru-sama is looking for, whispered Kabuto silently to himself. She looks really young. Is she really the same age as Orochimaru-sama? Man, she looks nothing like a 50-year-old lady. You have been a real pain to look for, said Orochimaru in a weak but frightening voice. But looks like I have found you at last. He then flashed her a sinister smile from above. Tsunade, what do you want, Orochimaru? Asked the blonde Sannin coldly with a glare. Shizen eyed both carefully when Manda lowered itself to allow Orochimaru and Kabuto on the ground. The snake Sannin, despite his tiredness, still had that sinister smile on his face. Why the cold attitude, my dear Tsunade? He asked sinisterly. We haven't seen another in such a long time. Tell me a good reason for me not to kill you right now. Well, I just wanted to have a good talk with you, that's all. You came here and destroyed a castle. How dare you say you only showed yourself here for a chat? Figures you would say something this crazy. Orochimaru raised his brow a bit when he heard the last sentence, and then smirked darkly as a response. You know, someone had said the exact same words to me once. Oh, is that so? If that's all you're going to talk about, you better leave now before I get really ticked off. Calm down, Tsunade. Tell me a good reason for me to do so after what you did to the leaf a long time ago. Tsunade-sama, interrupted Kabuto humbly. I hope you will listen to Orochimaru-sama's reason for being here before you take any actions. Really? Shizen questioned in a low voice. Why should we do something like that? Because we are here for a compromise, please listen. Compromise? Asked Shizen, wanting to spit at those words. So what is the reason you're here? Tsunade asked while narrowing her eyes with caution. What have you been up to? Nothing much. My men have infiltrated Konoha a while back and I have killed the third. Tsunade and Shizen's eyes widened hearing this news. They couldn't believe that this would have happened. Of course, if I'm standing right in front of you right now, you two probably have guessed I didn't succeed. The main reason would have to be the Uzumaki kid who killed at least half of the men that were sent alone. Not only that, the third has sealed my arms in a way that I can no longer use any of my techniques. I have come here to ask you to heal them for me. It was then when Tsunade angrily smashed the wall behind her, creating a large section to collapse. Kabuto swallowed hard at the display. She was definitely strong. You are making me laugh, you son of a bitch, the blonde woman hissed dangerously. After what you've done to Sarutobi-sensei, do you seriously expect me to heal you so you could assault Konoha again? Now, Tsunade, Orochimaru continued calmly, but it was hard for him to continue this act knowing he wouldn't have the strength to fight her if she and Shizen attacked now. If he knew the slug Sannin well, he knew that she could tell he was suffering from a fever. I never said you would do it freely. I don't care what kind of payment you're willing to give, said Shizen, preparing to attack. Your actions are unforgivable. You, little witch, declared Orochimaru, are in no position to say anything. You made a big mistake angering me, you bastard. Tsunade seethed her words dangerously. You have exactly 5 seconds to get out of my sight. Starting with 1. Tsunade-sama, please understand, pleaded Kabuto. You're the only one who can heal him. 2. The slug Sannin continued to count with each word colder than the last. Please consider. 3. 4. I'll revive the two you want to see so much for you. Orochimaru finally said. It was then when the two women's eyes widened at his words. Orochimaru smirked knowing he finally got their attention. Finally, things were finally advancing to his favor. Meanwhile, the Death Knight made several long striding glides before making it to the borders of the town. From this distance, he could still see the serpents were still completely visible even though he was on much lower ground. He grimaced as continued to take off in the best agility he could. What on earth would bring that bastard here in this part of the country anyway, thought the Death Knight as he leaped high on the rooftops to find a shortcut. What could he be looking for? Naruto knew he had no time to wonder about the choices. He needed to arrive at the scene soon. Time passed. When the Death Knight was in the vicinity of the ruins, he knew he was too late when the snakes vanished in a smoke midway. He clearly knew that the main event was already gone when he no longer felt Orochimaru's presence and aura. He narrowed his eyes with a frown when he again missed his chance. Despite his luck, he still needed confirmation about what happened just now. There had to be witnesses. Naruto was certain that nearby villagers could be a good help. Oh goodness, said Naruto when the ruins were within his sight range. An ancient castle seemed as fragile as glass, it just seemed so wasted. What an unfortunate display. Man, where are the villagers when you need one? It was that moment when he heard people screaming in fear. He then sprinted to check what was going on. Oh God, they killed Kenny! You bastards! Shouted a civilian along with two others who were crying. The Dark Warrior heard their grieving words and decided to use them as his information supporters. Who's this they? Asked Naruto, still on the higher ledges in a one-knee kneeling position. Or I should say what? What happened down here? Man, you should get out of here too, called the civilian in a panic trying to run with his other friends. The castle. It was destroyed by a monster. A monster? Asked Naruto, knowing what the guy was going to say next. Yeah, there were big snakes here, man, you should come along with us. We don't mind helping you since you seem to need one. No, it's fine, said Naruto, looking in another direction with a grimace. When the villager heard that, he made a quick break for it, not daring to look behind. Naruto muttered cursing words under his breath and made his choice in scouting further into the remaining destroyed castle. As he made a dash deeper into the ruins, he made a quick halt when he found a large section of the path's cement walls collapsed. He noted this broken hole. It certainly looked like it was someone broke it instead of falling down naturally. As he observed the way that it was broken down, he could tell this must have been one of Tsunade's handiwork. He smirked at the hole. He knew Tsunade's incredible strength and brute force didn't weaken one bit after all this time. He had to admit that if he challenged her in a power match, he would be pummeled to the ground. Tsunade must be somewhere in this town, thought Naruto, scanning around with his eyes, but no success. Damn it. I was too late. He quickly removed that mental conversation out of his system. Now wasn't the time to dwell in his own self-pity. The Death Knight had to pull himself together if he wanted to see that female Sannin sometime soon. With that determination encouraging his spirit, he decided to return to that town, hoping to find that Sannin somewhere. Even if she left already, he had to catch up with her at all costs. Naruto's search in town didn't contain too many chances of success. After looking around in some of the streets, he didn't find a single person that looked familiar. He sighed as he found himself a good place in a small restaurant for lunch. The Death Knight knew he needed the rest. He had been traveling for 6.5 hours non-stop ever since he left the inn. Hi sir, how may I help you? Asked the young waitress, snapping the boy back to reality. I'll just need a table for one, said Naruto rather bluntly without much emotion. Oh, a person like you eating alone? The young teenage girl had to find him very cute and mysterious. It wasn't every day that she had a blindfolded person as a customer. Yeah, alone, said the Death Knight flatly as he eyed her curiously. With his eyes engaged, her thoughts didn't escape him for a second. Just in case you're wondering, I'm not blind, the waitress suddenly alluded. I'm sorry. She apologized quickly to him, bowing. Naruto positioned his hands in a halting manner, saying there was no need for that. It's okay, just tell me where my table is. Oh, there isn't a table for one in here. Do you mind sitting out on the patio? Sure thing. With that, Naruto sat outside enjoying the breeze while planning to have a good lunch. Also, this would be a good time to ask others if they had seen Tsunade on these grounds. As that same waitress came to him asking for his order, Naruto quickly asked her if she had seen the female Sannin. A frown reached Naruto's lips when he heard her response. It was clear that there was no luck once again. After thanking her, Naruto quickly went back to mind his own business. While waiting for his order, Naruto took out his favorite novel from his pouch and began to read it. However, It was then when he noted that he should complete a mission report for this since it was a classified mission. As he started to write things down, little did he know, his pursuer was nearby closely watching him from a hidden spot, not allowing him to be out of her sight range. Meanwhile with Hinata, "I have finally found you, Naruto-kun," whispered Hinata quietly with rosy cheeks of timidity. She then sighed silently to herself, trying to remember what kind of havoc it was trying to find the dark shinobi. She didn't like this hiding. It made her look like she didn't trust him when he was the person that she trusted most deeply. After leaving the inn, she decided to play it safe from the warps. She decided to run part of the way and then blink a few times before too much chakra was consumed. She would repeat the process like that to save her own strength. With her Byakugan, she could easily figure out where he was when she was about 5 kilometers away from him. She was glad to have this ability. Just like Naruto, no one could escape from her eyes. "It seems like he has his eyes activated," thought the heiress, seeing he was wearing his blindfold. "Wait. I shouldn't be this close to him. What if he senses me with his detection? What am I going to do if he catches me now?" In a slight panic, she realized something. "Hold on, if he could sense me, why isn't he calling out my name? He should have realized that I am here already." At that moment, the heiress was observing him closely, watching his every move with perception. He seems to be really on high alert. Hinata noted to herself while he was watching each direction attentively, perhaps a little bit too attentive. She had to admit that he was so handsome in that blindfold. A shade of fuchsia appeared on her cheeks when she thought about it. However, she needed to shake it off, knowing what she should be doing. Something is amiss. It almost looks like he lost his senses. If he didn't call out my name when he usually would. A conclusion then kicked in the back of her mind. He can't detect me. She finished that thought with hope. With Naruto unable to detect chakra signatures, the Hyuga girl knew she was in luck. Even though the Dark Warrior couldn't sense chakra, it didn't mean that Hinata should let her guard down. Nonetheless, the boy still had the 80-meter closer vision and ability to see through physical objects within that 80 meters. All she needed to do was to stay a good enough distance, and not to develop any kind of emotion that may cause any sort of noticeable auras. She had to remain calm at all costs. She was confident enough in doing that. His disability made this pursuit successful. There was no way she would discard such an opportunity. It was another 20 minutes before Naruto finished his meal, while writing his report at the same time. Hinata was fascinated at the speed at which he ate his food. He really wasn't the type of person who enjoyed taking their time unless he really had to. She was surprised that he ate that quickly while his mind was doing something else, and he didn't eat like a slob. Hinata smiled warmly. Her Naruto-kun was amazing in almost every way. As the Death Knight paid for the meal he had eaten, Hinata blinked to a high area as the boy started to walk in a direction that she was in. As she looked down at him from above, she sighed when she noticed he didn't catch her presence. She wondered where he was going though. He seemed like he was watching every shop on the street carefully, and paying close attention to almost everyone that passed by him. These actions made the Hyuga girl even more curious. She definitely wanted to get to the bottom of this. Naruto halted suddenly in front of a shop. Hinata immediately hid behind something that could cover her completely. She was grateful that she was small but still worried if she did it quick enough to hide from him. She was anxious to know. "I'll just look at him by using my Byakugan," thought the heiress, but before she did anything, she then decided to think it over. "No, if I use it now he could sense a sudden change in the aura. But if I don't use it I don't know if he saw me." The Hyuga girl calmed herself down, and waited about a minute later. When she didn't hear her name being called or his presence any longer, her eyes widened at the second thought. Where did he go? She immediately ran out from her cover and looked at the sign that was at the shop that he stopped at. Her eyes showed confusion when she read it. 24-hour bar? She asked herself with questioning eyes. Why would Naruto-kun be there? Hinata knew she couldn't enter since she would reveal herself to him, but the tension of suspense was getting to her. Why would her boyfriend be going to places that she never saw him go in her life? Was he a hidden drunk behind that mask? No, behind that cold shell was a loving and compassionate shinobi. She knew it better than anyone. However, this confused her to no end. It was then when the girl decided to wait for him to come out from the roof of the bar, that would get her to a good spot to observe him while he wouldn't be doing the same. It was about another 20 minutes later when the Death Knight exited the bar with a calm but upset expression on his face. Hinata couldn't understand what happened, but she could tell he didn't get something that he searched for. She was sure he wasn't drinking there. He had no signs that he consumed alcohol. A empathetic expression came across the Hyuga girl's face. How much she wished to be down there supporting him and aid him. It pained her that she couldn't do a thing to comfort him. Am I searching in the wrong areas of the town? Cursed the Death Knight angrily in his head. This mission was beginning to get to him. I can't believe not even a local bar has a single piece of info about her. Itachi-senpai said that she was here. I saw the castle. Well, what remained of the monument at least. Could she have been showing up in casinos only? He then looked around in a guarding way and sighed. I better head to the casino areas. I hope I will have at least some results. With that said, Naruto looked at the map that Itachi and Kisame handed to him earlier during the mission and left silently. However, those last words he said were deep in Hinata's mind, for she heard all of it. Casino, said Hinata in her head. Why is Naruto-kun going to all these strange places? He doesn't seem like a drunken gambler. No, he isn't one. What's going on here? When Naruto walked a fair distance from the bar, it was that time when Hinata continued her pursuit. After leaping back on the ground, she took a silent sprint to stay close to him. Moments later in the casino district of town, Tsunade-sama called Shizen with a worried tone while walking. Please, make the right decision. When the attendant looked at her master again, it didn't seem like she was listening. Her head had been slightly down, and her eyes told Shizen that she was having a combat with herself. The conversation they had with Orochimaru and Kabuto was not called for. Why did they have to show up at a time like this? Shizen felt powerless, useless, in a matter of fact that no matter how much she persuaded, it seemed like she was talking to air. Shizen, said Tsunade finally in a down voice. I wish to gamble for a while if you don't mind. How could you say that at a time like this? Why are you procrastinating this much? Why didn't you allow me to take care of both of them while we had the chance? With Orochimaru suffering from a fever, the two of us couldn't deal with them easily, and an S-class criminal would finally be eliminated. Even if Orochimaru is dead, there will always be another one that takes his place. Tsunade said in a rather negative way. Getting rid of one is a lot better than not doing anything when the opportunity was ours to take, argued Shizen angrily. You and I both know those two aren't trustworthy. Why didn't you just kill them? Are you considering the offer that the bastard gave you? Tsunade-sama, why aren't you saying anything? What do you expect me to say? Anything. Don't make me feel like I'm talking to air. Just leave me some time to think. What is there to think about? Just decline the offer. You know what happens if you do go on with it. He'll destroy Konoha and he'll ensure that it'll burn to the ground. But I get to see Nawaki and Dan again, with no heed to the cost? You know Orochimaru's servant said that 2 bodies are required for this. Are you just going to find 2 innocent people and have their lives wasted because of your selfish decision? I know you want to see them both very much, but you can't get something from nothing. And such a good Full Metal Alchemist line. I think it was the very first line in the first episode. Just give me some space, Tsunade said with a hidden sense of demanding her attendant. It was then when Tsunade felt that she bumped into a person. She had been so focusing on talking that she hadn't been paying attention to the things happening in front of her. I'm sorry, said the person in a cloak as he was reading the casino's name. No, I'm sorry for that, said Tsunade quietly and walked past the stranger with Shizen following her. When the person she bumped into looked at the female Sannin, his eyes behind his blindfold widened a bit. Wait, called the male in the black cloak to Tsunade. What do you want? Asked Tsunade in an annoyed tone. I've been looking all over for you. Who are you anyway? This person is familiar, thought both Shizen and Tsunade in unison. Maybe I should refresh your mind a little. It was then when the male revealed his blade of black ivory color from underneath his cloak. The 2 women would never forget who had possession of that weapon. Naruto? Asked Tsunade in disbelief and hope. That's right, Obu-chan. It has been a long time, hasn't it? Naruto asked coolly. The slug Sannin smiled at his greeting. His cold attitude didn't change a bit. However, she knew a kind and warm boy was underneath that cold mask. even cursing Konoha for what they did to him. It was then when Shizen embraced the boy in a passionate hug. Naruto blushed slightly since Shizen never hugged him like this. "I'm so glad you're here, Naruto-kun," said Shizen, hugging him tighter. "It's good to see you too, Shizen-chan," whispered the Death Knight quietly. "I hardly recognize you." She then looked at him directly in the face. "You've grown so much, you're hardly the little boy before. It has been 3 years after all." He then took a glimpse at the blonde woman. It seemed like Oba-chan here didn't change that much herself. He then noticed the extreme low-cut kimono she was wearing and his eyes narrowed as a result. Other than, more revealing, clothing. "Hey, you never criticized what I wore before, Naruto," Tsunade said in a brighter tone than before. "When did you start noticing these things?" "I am nearly 13 after all," countered the boy. "I have to start seeing these things sooner or later. Don't tell me Jiraiya had been teaching all that Ed stuff while I wasn't there." "No, don't blame him." He then noticed that Shizen was still holding on to him in the same embrace. Then Death Knight had to admit that it felt very nice. "Why do you need to cover your eyes so much?" asked Shizen, suddenly looking at his blindfold. "It's not like you're blind. I have to admit you look very good without this cloth." Naruto smiled at her. In reality it was Shizen that was her big sister while Tsunade acted like his mom. The reason why Tsunade liked to be referred to as sister was the fact the Sennin didn't want to sound that old. "I have my reasons," said Naruto rather quietly. "Why always be such a cold guy, Naruto?" asked Tsunade, kneeling in front of the half-demon with a smile. "I have my reasons," replied the Dark Warrior in the same voice, not to mention the identical response. It was then when Tsunade grinned. When the Sannin grinned, it was never anything good. "Are you trying to impress girls like that?" she asked suddenly. Shizen blinked several times trying to make sure she heard right, while the half-demon remained unaffected. His eyes, however, widened a bit. "I know that a lot of girls are attracted to guys who are this type." "No, that's not it." "Why did she say the same thing as Itachi-senpai?" "Are you sure?" teased the blonde Sannin. "Yes. What would happen if a girl said that you're very cute and I want to date you?" At the same time, Hinata was listening to this conversation carefully to witness what her boyfriend would really say. "I would say, you're getting in my way," Naruto replied honestly. Shizen giggled softly. "What if the girl is very good looking like me?" "What are you up to?" thought Naruto, eyeing the blonde woman suspiciously. "I would say the same thing. Have you ever been charmed before by a girl other than your little sister?" "Zap her back, Naruto-kun, zap her back," thought the heiress. "I'm certain that you have no experience at all with girls, whatever you say," Naruto continued in a not caring way at all. Shizen grinned widely in happiness while Hinata was pouting since Naruto didn't get Tsunade back with his words. "Seriously now, have you had any interactions with a girl before?" "I rather not say," said Naruto, defending himself and Hinata with that statement. "Man, nothing seems to affect you in any way." "I'm so impressed," exclaimed Shizen, hugging Naruto again proudly. The demon warrior simply smiled at her sister and broke it. "There's no way a guy like you could be so unaffected," said Tsunade, determined to break that cold shell of the Death Knights. There was no possibility that he could be so calm with everything in life, from women to major confusions in reality. It was then when she thought of a plan, an evil plan to be precise. At that moment, Tsunade lowered her body down to kiss the boy on the cheek. While she was doing so, she deliberately made him see nearly all of her massive cleavage, making sure how he would react. When Naruto saw this, his eyes were wide of pure panic. He held back, immediately ejecting himself away from the sight of really nearly complete exposure of S. His face was red from heavy blushing. He had never seen anything like that in his 13 years of life. Even though he had a lot of control over his emotions, he couldn't hold it if his sister/mom did this to him. Tsunade stood up triumphantly with a smile. She finally witnessed for herself the downfall of the Death Knight's coldness. Naruto, on the other hand, was still trying to erase every thought and memory of that display. Only one thought was in his head. What in the hell was Oba-chan trying to do to me? I know she did that on purpose. Even though Naruto managed to prevent himself from seeing a pair of actual S, this didn't go unnoticed by another person. This person was Hyuga Hinata. To be blunt, Her eyes were filled with jealousy. And women, they really could be an envious bunch. To all female readers out there who I may have offended, I am sorry, but I witnessed this firsthand and it wasn't good at all. She knew that he jumped away before he could see any more, but this didn't satisfy her. It was the action afterwards that she was envious of. As long as she could remember, Naruto never blushed like that to her. He was never in such a vulnerable stage when they were together. Now a woman exposed her cleavage a little and he was in a deep panic to relieve himself. And the girl thought it was little. Man, I have to feel sorry for Naruto. She couldn't hold it for much longer. She had been hiding for way too long, and it was time to reveal herself to him. Naruto-kun, Hinata called in a calm and yet too relaxed voice. It was then when Naruto looked at the direction of where that voice came from. His eyes shot wide open at the sight of his girlfriend standing with one hand to her waist, not looking too thrilled. "Hi, Hinata-chan." Naruto mumbled dumbly when he sensed her icy aura. "What are you doing here? I have been looking all over for you." Hinata continued in a low voice, trying to control her frustration of envy. "Did you know how hard it had been to find you? Well, you found me now. Looks like your troubles were worth it." Naruto could feel that he was going to die. His eyes told him she was jealous of something, but her mind wasn't thinking of what she was envying about. As she stepped another pace to him, he swallowed slightly to ease himself. "You think it's worth it when your girlfriend sees you blushing like a strawberry after seeing another woman's chest? You never did that when I was with you." Hina-chan saw me look at Oba-chan's chest, thought the Death Knight drearily, and began to cold sweat. "I am so dead. Naruto-kun has a girlfriend?" thought Shizen, amused with a grin. "It's clear who's leading this thing already," Tsunade said in her mind, anxious to see what was going to happen. She could tell that the boys' defenses were all trampled. They awaited the great scenario that was about to come. "I am telling you the truth, Hinata-chan," said Naruto, holding his hands in a defensive position and taking paces back. "I didn't look at it on purpose. Oba-chan was bending over to kiss my cheek, and when she did that, those things were within my vision." "I'm not lying." Tsunade winced at the use of his words that were referred to her, but she couldn't stop grinning at the expression Hinata gave him. She didn't buy it. "I know what happened," countered Hinata sharply while walking closer to him in a cold way. "I do have my Byakugan after all." "Then why are you angry if you know I didn't do it intentionally? And don't start giving me all that you did it anyway crap. She was the one that did it to me. It's the fact that you blushed like you never did when you were with me," she argued with justification. "How could you let some woman get you like that? And what did you say just now about kissing you? You let her kiss you because she is pretty? What is wrong with you going to bars and casinos? I saw you from over there and I know you were about to go in. Don't lie to me." "Hey, one shot at a time, okay?" asked Naruto, not showing any signs of intimidation. "No. I want you to tell me everything right here and now. I don't want to feel that I don't trust you. And does following me put you in the trusting me category, Miss Hyuga Hinata? How do you expect us to believe you 100% when you left the village without telling anyone? I told you I would explain everything when I get back. I want the truth now," Hinata demanded, with her eyes doing most of the talking. Naruto smirked and avoided her gaze intentionally, but not because he was afraid of it. He was showing her no matter what she did, she couldn't make him open his mouth. This made the Hyuga girl enraged. "Naruto," said Tsunade, suddenly breaking the tension between the two teens. "You said something about looking for me earlier? What is this about leaving your village suddenly? I didn't tell anyone that I left. And how does this girl know about it?" Tsunade took a good glimpse at Hinata. She looked like a very nice girl wearing dark violet ninja pants with a matching color tank top with a small smooth jacket of the same color with the Hyuga symbol on it. The Sennin could tell this girl cared a lot about him to follow him this far. "She found me halfway." "What did you do then?" "I told her to go back without me." "Why is she here now?" asked the blonde woman curiously. Naruto sighed a bit before answering. "How would I know? I want to ask her that myself." "Not until you tell me why you left without notifying me," interrupted Hinata. "You seem to like Naruto-kun well. Who are you, may I ask?" "I will tell you until we find a place to sit down and rest," Tsunade said calmly. "There are some things that I believe that I have to get from Naruto first before he talks with you. How about we find a place and eat?" "Fine with me." Hinata-chan, are you coming or not? Asked the Death Knight without much emotion. You're not leaving me here, Naruto-kun. Hinata then walked next to him, and looked up to him directly. And she is at least 4 inches shorter than Naruto and… Naruto-kun? What? Instantly, Hinata punched him hard on the cheek, making him fall back. He was shocked at this action. He held his pained spot with slight emotional hurt. That was worrying me, you're insensitive. She yelled before stomping off to Shizen and Tsunade. That punch wasn't in the mission briefings. He thought dully as he got up. Looks like I have a lot of problems to deal with already. I wasn't planning to share this while Hinata is here. Looks like this would be the only way to answer her questions. Moments later at a nearby restaurant with a bar. The time was about in the late afternoon. Tsunade and Shizen were sitting on one side of the table with Naruto and Hinata sitting at the other. What the two women found strange was the two teens haven't said a word with another. Hinata had been sitting timidly while looking at her tea as if it was the most entertaining thing in the world. The Death Knight, on the other hand, had been just looking away from the group with an annoyed expression. Hey waiter, Tsunade. Please bring 2 bottles of sake. Shizen sighed. It looked like Tsunade was in the drinking mood again. Hinata's ears perked when hearing the word sake while Naruto showed no reaction. You know Hinata-chan and I can't drink sake, right? Asked Naruto, finally making an effort to participate. Even so, his voice was lacking much passion. Shizen and I would be then, you two could order anything you want here. I'll pay for it, thanks, said Hinata shyly. Ano, may I know who you are and what's your relationship with Naruto-kun? The Death Knight eyed his girlfriend a bit. She had the right to know. I'm Tsunade and this is my attendant Shizen. If you're jealous because you think I may steal him away, you don't have to worry, the slug Sannin said while chuckling. I've known Naruto since he was 7. I consider him as a brother. You're his sister too? Asked the Hyuga girl with honest surprise. And Shizen-san, are you as well? Of course, Shizen answered with the best smile she could muster. Deep down, she was still worried about the offer Orochimaru made earlier. Naruto-kun is a very nice person to be with when you get to know him. Naruto-kun, why didn't you tell me these people were your sisters? How was I able to explain it to you when you were on such a rampage? Asked the half-demon, not even looking at her. You're basically telling me to sign my death sentence if I tried to reason. I won't kill you if you try to justify yourself. Hinata spoke quietly. Just drop it. Naruto stated in an order. The girls could tell he wasn't in the exactly pleased mood. What did your sister say about making others feel uncomfortable? Tsunade questioned. Naruto glanced at the Sannin with an emotionless face that Tsunade hated. Oba-chan, just be quiet. It was then when Tsunade whacked him on the head. Hinata's eyes were filled with shock at that action. No one dared to hit Naruto like that. Shizen tried to control her giggle. Don't call me Oba-chan, exclaimed the blonde woman with a vein popping from her head. Why wouldn't I? You are old enough to be my mom. Hinata's mouth dropped. She seriously thought that Tsunade was only at the age of Kakashi or younger. She couldn't believe that the Sannin was at the age that she could consider herself to be a mother. That statement alone earned another whack. Let's talk seriously now, Tsunade said in a calm voice. Why did you come here looking for me? This caught both Hinata and Shizen's attention. In fact, they nearly forgot that. I'll get straight to the point, Naruto said, taking a sip from the soda that the waiter just brought to their table. I was sent here by Hayashi-sama and Jiraiya-sensei. Father told Naruto-kun to look for her, thought Hinata, wondering what this could be all about. Shizen was surprised herself. For what though? Konoha needs a 5th Hokage. I'm sure you know what happened to the 3rd already. I do, Orochimaru told me directly. So that bastard found you a step ahead of me, thought the Death Knight, cursing himself. What does this 5th Hokage have to do with me? Sensei didn't tell me directly, but I'm sure the Konoha Council ambassadors have decided that you would be the person to be the 5th. Hinata and Shizen's eyes widened at the words being spoken. Hinata finally realized why Naruto left the village, but still what his relations with Uchiha Itachi were. There was a dead silence for a moment. It was clear the Sannin was in deep thought. I was given the order to bring you back to Konoha and you would become the 5th Hokage of Konoha. So what would your answer be? Impossible, said the Sennin about a minute later. I decline. Shizen looked at this situation worriedly. Tsunade-sama, could you be considering the offer Orochimaru gave you, the fifth Hokage? Asked Hinata to Naruto holding his arm. Why did father not tell me about this? Why did he make this into a classified mission? Why? It was then when Naruto silenced her by putting his index finger to her soft lips. Naruto-kun, this decision is made by the high ranks of Konoha, explained the Death Knight seriously. This isn't something that a genin such as yourself should put your comments on. But, she even declined, I'm sure Oba. I mean, Tsunade just needs more time to think about it. It's not like this isn't a big decision to make. But, even so, why did father and Jiraiya-sama only send you to be on this mission and made you complete this task alone by not telling another person about this? I'm sure Naruto-kun was the person with the perfect status to do it. Shizen started suddenly. The Hyuga girl was honestly confused. I don't understand, what do you mean by that? Isn't Naruto-kun a genin just like me? I'm a Hidanin, Naruto explained. A high-class ninja that has brought much prosperity in all countries in the past from one point or another. My tasks in the past were not simple missions. They were even higher than Jounin-level missions if you want to know. Believe me, Hinata-chan, I do have the right to argue if I think the council made a mistake in their judgment. If I believe this person does not have the potential to bring a hopeful future for a country, I wouldn't be following the mission. Hidanins are very rare. There aren't many who have the potential to be them since their responsibility is extremely great. No doubt, the Hyuga girl was astonished. Hinata-chan, you following me? Naruto-kun, she said timidly. The Death Knight looked at her curiously. You're so amazing. She then tackled him to the wall, hugging him tightly in the waist. Naruto tried to pry her off of himself but failed to do so since he wasn't in such a good position. In fact, it was awkward. Hinata-chan. I still need to talk to Tsunade. I can't if you keep holding on to me like that. I'm pretty sure you could talk to me fine in that position, my little brother, said Tsunade amused, obviously liking the scene in front of her. Shizen's grin agreed with her master. Yeah, let me stay close to you. Hinata secretly demanded sweetly. You were. Naruto continued to attempt to remove her from him but to no avail. Close enough the way you were before. Can you get off? No, the Hyuga girl said cutely. I like it here. The Death Knight grunted with much irritation but turned into a serious one anyway and looked at Tsunade. Orochimaru, what happened? Shizen wanted to say something but Tsunade glared at her with one eye. Nothing much, we just said hello. The female Sennin answered in a low tone. Hello? Naruto questioned suspiciously. Are you sure that's all you two did? It was clear to anyone the half-demon didn't buy her words. You know you can't hide anything from my eyes. Hinata could feel the sudden tension building up. It certainly wasn't pleasant. The Death Knight then activated another ability from his eyes. He frowned when he found what Tsunade's mind was thinking about. Orochimaru had gotten Oba-chan in such a confused state. I hope my words work. Not only that, if you know the third was murdered by him, you should know that Konoha's need for the fifth Hokage is extremely high. If the village requested you to be that person, what would be your reply? I already said it's impossible. Tsunade stated again. You guys must have at least some people taking over at that position right now. Why can't they take that position permanently? Shizen was now really worried. It really seemed that her master was pushing Naruto's offer further and further. Hinata on the other hand wanted to figure out as much as possible. Why don't you let a clan leader do it? People like the Uchiha clan. You and I both know the Uchiha clan no longer exists, Naruto said coldly. Even if they are alive today, the councils would never consider putting them with such authority. The Hyuga girl listened to his words carefully. She was clearly confused. And, all of you readers, please remember this statement that Naruto just said. It's a vital reason why Itachi killed the clan. Now, Jiraiya-sensei would never take on this position. You know the reason even more than I do, don't you? Yeah, he's who wants to, cough, cough. Exactly. And Hyuga Hayashi-sama can't afford to abandon his position as the Hyuga clan leader for too long. He has his own duties to deal with as well. It's only a matter of time before the village needs a stable person to take on this task permanently. Also, don't make such hasty decisions immediately. Please think about it carefully, and do give me a proper reply afterwards. It was then when Naruto stood up from his spot and left the table he was at. Hinata obviously went with him. Are you leaving already? Asked Shizen, wanting Naruto to stay so he could convince her master. I need to find a place to stay here for a while, said Naruto. I'm sure that you two won't be leaving anytime soon, am I right? And Tsunade, if you intend to leave here without giving me a proper answer, I won't hesitate to hunt you down. I'll find you later tonight for a proper reunion. With that, Naruto and Hinata left the bar together and searched for an inn nearby. Shizen finally turned to face her master with a very unpleasant look. Tsunade-sama, Shizen practically scolded. Why didn't you just accept Naruto-kun's offer and just forget about what Orochimaru said? Konoha is in a helpless situation right now and your assistance is very much needed. I'm sure that's what Hokage-sama would want you to do. It's got nothing to do with me, Tsunade replied coldly. Konoha was once your home and it still is. How could you say that? Would you help Orochimaru heal his arms and disappoint your brother? He's like a son you never had, for goodness sakes. You wouldn't do anything to hurt him. Tsunade-sama, please just return to Konoha as the 5th Hokage. I would need more time to consider. Despite how happy I am to see that boy, his offer to me is very sudden. And I don't need you to tell me what to do, Shizen. With that, the conversation ended there, leaving Shizen even more worried about her faithfulness to her master. Things were taking a turn for the worst. At the inn, Naruto-kun called the Hyuga girl to her boyfriend softly while he was sitting on the futon taking off his backpack. What is it, Hinata-chan? He asked softly. I've got so many questions for you. I don't even know where to start. How about I'll just tell you the whole thing? She nodded slowly and sat in front of him listening attentively. The Death Knight sighed before he began the long tale. I was given the order to look for Tsunade. That was what your father and Jiraiya-sensei were discussing in that meeting. Not only that, I was told that I wouldn't tell anyone, especially you. Why though? Why didn't your father allow me to come with you? Did he disagree that you and I are together? I don't care what he thinks. I can't live without you. I love you so much to let you go. If you will leave Konoha, I will leave with you. I will. Once again, Naruto placed his index finger on her lips. Calm down, Hinata-chan, advised Naruto with a smile. It's nothing like that. Then why wouldn't my father want me to come with you? I'll be blunt. They believe that you would slow me down. The expression on Hinata's face really made him regret saying that previous statement so directly. Did you think I would slow you down, my dear Naruto-kun? Asked the Hyuga girl ever so sweetly. This time you might have. You don't like my company? You don't like me anymore? The girl asked with hurt. No, that's not it, said the Death Knight, sighing, trying to use the most correct words. It's the fact my eyes sort of didn't function as well as they should have for these couple of days. What do you mean, Naruto-kun? Sasuke's jutsu. Well, its chakra flares blinded the detection ability, making me unable to read any chakra signatures. Normally, I would have found Tsunade a long time ago, but you know why I took so long. So you really didn't know that I was tailing you the entire time? She asked with a bright smile. You were stalking me, Hinata-chan? Asked Naruto in disbelief. Why were you doing this? Because you worried me. She then went to his side and embraced him softly but firmly. But now, I'm not worried since you had your reasons. The Hyuga girl then dug her head in his chest. Come on, Naruto-kun, keep talking. Sure thing. Hayashi-sama said that if you came with me, you might allow your emotions to take over. Whatever do you mean by that? She asked him innocently while tilting her head slightly to take a good glimpse of his face. You know exactly what I mean. We are alone, then you want to. He was then interrupted when the girl claimed his lips with hers. He had to agree that she was the best person he had ever met. Were you worried because of me kissing you too much? She asked as she departed her mouth from his. A little bit, he answered with a grin. You don't like my kisses? She questioned, pretending to be hurt. Don't start thinking like that now. Well, I won't do anything like that to slow you down. This mission is important after all. Is that right? Hyuga Hinata not wanting private time when the opportunity is hers to claim? The dark warrior then poked her soft cheek teasingly. If that's the case, I'm one step closer to heaven. Quit teasing me, Naruto-kun, she said timidly, trying not to blush. Her eyes then opened when she thought of his words correctly. Hey, that was mean. I'm just stating the truth, Naruto replied quietly. Is there anything else you want to know? Why were you going into bars and casinos? Because Oba-chan likes to drink and gamble. The only logical place to look for a person like that is to visit those areas. Restaurants may help too, but the chances of getting info have to be places such as those. So, she's the one who's a drunken gambler. What? You think I was that kind of person? Well, it's hard for me to believe if you enter those places. The Hyuga heiress countered adorably. But I want to ask you why you are associated with Uchiha Itachi and that other guy from the mist? This time, his expression darkened. I won't tell you that. How come? They beat up Sasuke-kun to a pulp. And why didn't you do anything about it? Hinata-chan, said the Death Knight seriously. I will only say this once. Uchiha Itachi isn't the person that everyone thinks he is. Sasuke needs to know the real truth. And I will say this. You don't need to worry about them, okay? Hinata reluctantly nodded and decided to trust him. There wasn't anything she could do. Now, are you still angry about me yelling at you and that and before? Hinata held his hand firmly with a smile. Of course not, silly. The Hyuga heiress then hugged him again while breathing softly to his ear. Thank you for telling me the truth. I love you, Naruto-kun. I feel better as well. Naruto then broke the embrace with Hinata pouting slightly as a result. Hey, I don't intend to stay in the entire evening. You want to go somewhere? Like where? You got a place in mind? Not really, answered the demon hunter rather directly. I was just thinking we could hang out for a while and probably have dinner later. I intend to meet up with Oba-chan tonight for a small gathering. How about? She then had shades of crimson on her face while twirling, looking elsewhere, avoiding his gaze. We could stay here and spend some alone time with another? She then gave him an irresistible charming look. However, he saw it coming ahead of time and turned his head another way, not meeting her face. The Byakugan user couldn't believe she didn't get him. Come on, Hinata-chan, he called at the door. I'm leaving with or without you. Sighing in defeat, the Hyuga girl knew she lost this one. However, Naruto's idea wasn't that bad since she was getting a bit hungry herself. Getting up from her spot, she immediately encircled her arm around his and left the inn together hand in hand. That evening at 8:45, Naruto and Hinata spent the evening together hanging out in different places of town, enjoying each other's company. In reality, it was Hinata having all the fun while the boy just followed her around, watching her delightful aura radiate brightly. After a relaxing dinner, it was time for Naruto to find Tsunade and have somewhat of a proper reunion. With Hinata's Byakugan, locating the slug Sannin wasn't a problem. In a matter of moments, the delinquent duo found themselves at another local bar. This didn't surprise the Death Knight one bit. Good evening, Oba-chan, called Naruto, making a slight greeting gesture as he entered with Hinata. Tsunade popped another vein from her temple while Hinata and Shizen giggled at that remark. How many times have I told you not to call me that? Questioned the Sannin while taking another sip of her sake. If she possessed something hard, she would have tossed it at him. In truth, she had a wide selection to choose from: the table, the cups, the glass container for the sake, but it all belonged to the shop and she would have to pay for it. Many times now, Naruto replied with a visible smirk. But I have to say it's amusing every time to see your reaction. This didn't make the Sannin feel any better. You have to stop teasing Tsunade-sama someday, Naruto-kun, said Shizen with a grin. You're really beginning to force her blood pressure to rise too dramatically. Don't worry, Shizen-chan, assured the Dark Warrior with a smile. She'll be fine. You can be so mean, Naruto-kun, Hinata stated while shaking him a bit. Naruto simply smirked. Mind if we sit down? Tsunade gave them a hand signal and the duo sat across from them silently. You two had dinner yet? Asked Shizen kindly. Hinata nodded with a smile. Where are you staying tonight? It's that and that, with the large blue sign on it. I don't really remember. Ours is just across from here. Feel free to look for us when you need to. Okay, Hinata-san? The Hyuga girl nodded again with a smile, while Naruto didn't react at all. Hinata nudged him slightly, telling him to say something, but it was that instant that he moved his body a bit, making her miss. You seem to like drinking. Oba-chan, said Naruto, observing the senin's rosy cheeks due to alcohol. I wonder what this stuff does to make you enjoy it this much? You want to find out? Asked Tsunade, surely not drunk at all. How about we have a duel? A duel? Why would I want to do that all of a sudden? Not just any duel, but a sake challenge. Tsunade declared with a grin. Hinata and Shizen turned their heads around hearing that declaration. Hinata looked at Naruto, who had a confident smirk on his lips. What are the rules? Naruto was entertained by the offer given to him. We'll drink sake until one of us forfeits, or is clearly drunk. We will count by the amount of cups you drink, so if I get drunk first but I drank a lot more cups than you, you have to drink more than me in order to win. Sounds fair, I'll accept. Naruto-kun, pleaded Hinata. You don't have to do this. I don't want to see my Naruto-kun drink like that. The demon male simply poked her cheek with a smile. She blushed slightly and gave a smile back of encouragement. And she's not encouraging him to drink, she just wants him to beat Tsunade. Tsunade, you're on. Naruto declared with a confident smirk. Shizen knew this was going to be troublesome, but also an opportunity that happened once in a very long while. This time, she really didn't know which side to support. As the waiter brought 10 bottles of sake to the table, both challengers looked at each other with a rivalry grin. Let the games begin. Time passes. And I have no intention of explaining the contest, they just drink the stuff, right? After both had finished 4 bottles of their sake, it was Tsunade who was beginning to show signs of drunkenness. Naruto, on the other hand, was still sitting calmly with a cup in his hand and swallowed the remaining alcohol in his system. Hinata could tell he wasn't drunk, not even a little bit. So, Oba-chan, asked Naruto as he poured himself another cup of sake. You had enough yet? How dare he intimidate me? Cursed the Sannin, mentally, not actually angry. Of course not, said Tsunade, a bit dizzy. I'm just getting to the good part. Is that so? Questioned the Death Knight in a very amused voice. I want to see how long you would actually last. This battle is mine for the taking. Naruto thought victoriously. You're going down, sister. Not knowing Tsunade, Shizen and Naruto, Hinata had been looking at the nearly empty bottle of sake on her left-hand side. She was curious. She wanted to know what it tasted like. She wanted to know why some people liked it so much. She finally made a decision. The Hyuga girl secretly took a cup from the side and skillfully poured herself a bit without anyone noticing. It was now or never. She then lifted the cup and poured the contents into her mouth. When she did that, it was that instant when Naruto and Shizen saw what she was doing. Hinata-san, don't drink it, said Shizen, but it was too late. As the Hyuga girl swallowed it, she felt her cheeks heating up in a way she never felt before. Naruto saw her cheeks turn pink due to the signs of alcohol. He could tell she had a very low tolerance. The girl felt dizzy and hiccuped a bit. Somehow she felt lighter, and her mind was drifting into the vast emptiness of space of no worries. Hinata-chan, are you okay? Asked the demon hunter, making sure his girlfriend was intact. When her eyes met his, she immediately gave him a very seductive look. The boy nearly went back. Naruto-kun, she said dreamily. You know that I really love you? Okay, she was clearly drunk. Yeah, sure. Naruto played along to see how badly she was affected. If you love me, can you kiss me? Hinata demanded alluringly while holding the helm of his cloak. When he didn't show any signs of response, she then shifted closer to him with an expression of lust. If you won't, I will. Before her lips made contact, Naruto immediately stood up and held her securely, not allowing her to continue. I'm sorry, said Naruto to Shizen, knowing Tsunade was too drunk to hear his words. I need to take Hinata-chan back to the inn. Tell Tsunade that, okay? Sure thing, replied the black-haired woman kindly before trying to help her master. I'll see you tomorrow then? Yeah. The Death Knight then carried the Hyuga girl around his shoulders and exited the restaurant with a bit of embarrassment. Hinata-chan, why did you drink that to begin with? He asked himself in his head, trying to understand what the lavender-eyed girl was thinking. Unfortunately, he found no result. The Hyuga girl continued to fidget and desperately wanted to embrace the boy in a kiss. However, she couldn't do it in that position. Back at the inn, The dark shinobi didn't even bother walking back to the designated inn that they were staying at. He needed to get Hinata back together as soon as possible. He used blink several times and made it inside his room in the inn safely. Hinata-chan, you could be so unpredictable. He thought dully as he rested his intoxicated girlfriend on the futon. As he reached for his backpack for some medicine, he could feel Hinata's soft hand reaching for his collar, trying to pull him down into a deep kiss. Naruto untied his cloak to make her grasp nothing but the cloth. I don't want this. She whined cutely. Just stay here and rest, okay? He asked gently before kissing her on the forehead. I want you to kiss me, my dearest Naruto-kun, she whispered seductively in his ear while nibbling it. Naruto ignored it and made his way to the kitchen to get some water for her. He could still hear her calling out his name in a divine tone even though she was intoxicated. He sighed and continued with his task. Even when she is drunk she still wants me to kiss her, whispered Naruto to himself while pouring a cup of water. As he made his way back to the bedroom, he immediately dropped the cup of water on the floor, spilling it. He didn't care at all. He was too stunned and frightened at the display in front of his eyes. When the girl saw him at the door, her face showed a very seductive smile. As cold sweat began to develop and flow down from his forehead, Hinata's alluring gaze became significantly more attractive. You like what you see, Naruto-kun? She asked soothingly with a wide knowing grin. Kami-sama. I am so dead. Just when I thought I had hit bottom, Naruto noted to himself drearily. Someone always throws me a shovel. The dark warrior then recalled the sight that happened moments ago. When he entered, the Hyuga girl just took off her tank top as if it was the most irritating thing and that she had to touch the way she looked at it. It told him that clothing was not needed in the future. While doing so, she revealed a silky and tight white brow that the boy nearly couldn't keep his eyes off. Her back was creamy white. It was the kind of color that could cleanse anything defile. And most importantly, he, amongst everyone, wanted her. However, self-discipline still played a very strong role in his mind. Even though he was able to restrain himself with not much difficulty, he couldn't help but tremble at the expression she gave him. She seemed hungry for him alone. The Death Knight was now cold sweating and taking paces back slowly. He was still shocked at the scene that was in front of him right now. Hinata was kneeling on the futon with her tongue licking her lips, lustfully wanting to satisfy her desire. The demon hunter knew it must be due to the alcohol she consumed a while back. He knew he was a dead man. His chances of leaving this room in one piece, or rather keeping his life intact, was nearly zero. As the Hyuga girl began to crawl closer to him, he fearfully took steps back to create some distance away from her for safety purposes, more like his safety. Even so, distance wasn't in the girl's vocabulary at the moment. Hina-chan, he tried to talk to her while his mind was on a verge of breaking down in any second. For obvious reasons, Naruto didn't know what he could possibly say to her. He felt powerless to make a difference, but what were the chances for her to listen attentively? In spite of how much he wanted to get out of this situation, he couldn't deny that Hinata looked really attractive right now. Correction, even though he wanted to just blink out of this room, he couldn't just leave an intoxicated Hinata. Who knew what she might do? The Death Knight knew much better than to even think about her physical attractiveness in this stage, yet how could he not when she was only meters, or less, away from him? She only had a silky white bra on which revealed enough of her cleavage. The demon boy couldn't imagine how developed they were for her age, and her violet pants. If he continued to linger like this for much longer, he was sure those pants wouldn't be on her body soon. He feared for the worst. What, Naruto-kun? She asked heavily while ready to pin him on the wall so he wouldn't move away. Naruto took a small stride to the right, making the girl hit the wall behind him, and when she turned her head towards him, she flashed him a wolfish expression that made him feel much pressured and intimidated. She wanted him. He could feel it in his corrupted veins as clear as day. Are you okay? He asked very dumbly. However, it was then when the girl slowly approached him again, alluringly grabbing his collar and pulling him close. As their faces nearly met, the Hyuga girl allowed her tongue to lick his lips seductively. He shivered immediately as a result. He was experiencing much dread each passing second. Her touch felt soothing, but in this current situation, rejection was the only feeling he expressed in a suppressed manner. He considered this to be like death had arrived at his door. Of course I'm okay, she answered while giving him soft kisses on his lips, each one of them more passionate than the last. It was then when his eyes widened when she wailed pleasantly and softly with delight. Why wouldn't I be? At that precise moment, the Death Knight was in crucial deep thought. Even though this was not the best time to ponder, in spite of all this ecstasy, he couldn't help but to make desperate mental notes to himself. Okay, you bastard, he cursed himself in his mind in a hopeless panic. When you take your girlfriend to a bar, watch out for 3 things. 1. Make sure she doesn't consume any alcohol without you noticing. 2. Know her alcohol limits, know how much she could handle. And finally, if the girl is madly in love with you, don't get her drunk because you cause yourself to be in such deep shit. His eyes immediately widened as her arms around his body while pushing herself to him, making him feel her warmth and her smooth body. Can you please let go of me? He asked, attempting to make a release but didn't have the heart to hurt the person he loved. Why would I do that? Hinata questioned him in a lost way. Her eyes told him that she felt like all her burdens were lifted. There were no longer such things as worries. Her creamy lavender eyes shined with absolute delight. It was then when she laid kisses on his neck. It was delicate, it was divinely pleasurable. Anyone would have melted by now, because he grunted while the girl was kissing him passionately. I can't move. I don't want you to move, she demanded as her hand reached for his forehead protector. While the action was in progress, her body continued to brush against his, giving her much satisfaction. What are you doing? He asked while shaking slightly. Her grin told him enough. You know, I never liked you covering your eyes so much. It was then when she practically tore off his Konoha protector off his forehead and tossed it aside as if it was defiled. At this point, the demon hunter didn't even know if she was drunk or not because she seemed pretty conscious and aware of what she was doing. As she pushed herself more to him, he couldn't help but blush slightly when his body felt hers so closely, especially about her S. Hinata-chan, kiss me, she demanded airily as her lips made contact with his gently. You know I love you too much. Her arms soon found their way around his neck and gently drew him into a deeper kiss. She was allowing her body to call the shots that were nearly both overwhelming and enticing. His mind was still in confusion. He immediately broke out of her hold and leaned against another part of the wall, panting heavily with stun. Hinata made another lustful grin before reaching out her hand and pulled him close by his collar once again. Normally the Death Knight would have made some action to evade, but he was too shocked to react. Why are you running away? I don't want to do this, Hinata-chan, he practically shouted. The girl simply grinned in response as if she was prepared to hear this. She soon nibbled his ear gently and leaned on him so he would lie on the futon with her on top. Naruto was shocked at her boldness that it was frightening. Hinata-chan, get off me! However, she quickly muted him with her soft finger on his mouth while smiling. You like what you see, Naruto-kun? She asked seductively as she showed more of her cleavage to him while pinning one of his arms with her own. Naruto couldn't believe the amazing strength the girl was giving. It seemed she was making this effort easily without difficulty. Did Naruto regret training her? No, under normal circumstances he wouldn't be, but this was another story. At the same time, was this what intoxication could do to people? Not long later, the Hyuga girl smoothly removed the blindfold that was covering his eyes. It's all being held back. I don't want this. Naruto justified it with his eyes exposed to her. When his activated teal eyes pierced into hers, he could tell she found it beautiful and attractive. Her eyes then became more focused onto him, causing the Death Knight to feel even more uneasy. I will change your mind. At that moment, the girl hungrily kissed him as if her life depended on it. Her movement was swift and gentle despite her state of drunkenness. Her kisses were soothing to the core. Naruto tried hard not to lose himself while her tongue was licking his lips tenderly. She really knew how to make a guy feel appreciated. Soon, her lips were on his neck, kissing it ever so passionately. What made him grimace was the fact that she was in a pleasant mood while doing so. The boy didn't at all. He was holding it all and not allowing his own desires to take the best of him. He loved her and wanted to make her feel as if she was the happiest girl alive, but not like this. This was wrong. This was just absurd. He immediately squirmed out of her hold and prepared to make his way out the door to give her another cup of water for her medicine. However, Hinata's arms circled him, making his attempt futile. "Let go of me, Hinata-chan," Naruto stated in an order, trying to shake off the girl. He knew if he stayed here too long, there would be consequences that none were able to face. He knew he needed to get out of that room as soon as possible. However, the Hyuga heiress wasn't listening at all. She shoved him skillfully to the wall, and claimed his lips in another deep kiss. As she kissed him again, his eyes went wide at what her hands were doing. While her right hand was wrapped around his neck, her left hand reached for the hem of her pants, and slowly slid it down her long legs while revealing her smooth and creamy thighs. The Death Knight nearly choked audibly when he saw her pair of cotton white underwear that matched her bra. She was like a gorgeous goddess, he would never deny it, just wouldn't admit it out loud. "Have you changed your mind, my dearest?" she asked him divinely as she completely removed her pants and threw them elsewhere, as if it wasn't needed. With the girl only in her lingerie now, his heart was suffering a case of beating way too quickly for its own good. Part of it was due to the fact she was this close or completely revealed to him. Some of it was due to Hinata being so calm doing this, as if she did this enough times in her life. But the most important reason was he was freaking out inside. As she secured his lips with her own, his eyes widened when he felt her hands reaching for his shirt, trying to lift it. He looked at her with surprise of disbelief, while she smiled alluringly in response. "Don't do this," Naruto whispered slowly, but he was silenced when her mouth made contact with his. "I want you to, Naruto-kun," she said. "I want you to love me. I want you to do whatever I'm doing to you. I want to be yours. I can't do this. Don't be afraid, I won't bite." It was then she guided his hand on her, giving her much feeling of pleasure. Naruto, on the other hand, wanted to take his hand away immediately, but her grip was too tight. Not knowing how long his hand was on her soft chest, his eyes shot open, and what she was doing next. Her available hand was playing on the strap of her bra, slowly allowing it to slide down on her shoulder. As the strap fell down, it exposed more of her cleavage as a result. He was deeply afraid at this point, afraid of what may happen next, most importantly afraid of the consequences. He never felt this frightened of her in his life. It was then he snapped. "I know you won't," answered Naruto, flashing his own charming grin. The girl's eyes opened slightly with much excitement, but her expression remained the same. Soon the Hyuga girl leaned closer to him with her bra nearly at the state of falling off. She then claimed his lips once again with desire of lust. The Death Knight smirked slightly and decided to return it. Once she figured that he wanted this too, she was on the move to remove the clothing on her chest. However, the Dark Warrior made a grip on her hand, halting her action. "Don't you want this, Naruto-kun?" she asked, giving a charming and alluring gaze. "Don't get too hasty, Hina-chan," replied Naruto, completely calm and collected with that same attractive grin on his face. "Why don't I make things easier for you?" "Like what?" she asked innocently. "I know a way to make people really relaxed, as if a way to make all of their burdens fly away forever. I'm sure you would like that. I like it fine right now, let me kiss you. Why don't you give it a shot? I guarantee that it is wonderful." She thought about it for a second and nodded. "Fine, don't make me wait too long for you." She then gave him a lustful look, which he returned with a kiss on her cheek. He soon made his way behind her and held her shoulders firmly. She groaned with delectation as his hands gave her a soothing massage. The feeling of making her relaxed was working. She could feel herself one step closer to heaven. As she had pleasantly again, but this time louder, it was then when the Death Knight engaged his bloodline limit. "Sorry, Hinata-chan," thought Naruto as he planted his mouth on her neck, osculating smoothly. She had slightly louder, as she was on a stage of nearly losing herself completely. "I can't do this." Naruto then raised his left hand a bit, and pinched her neck immediately at a sensitive spot. The girl gasped, and her body weakened immediately. As she slowly closed her eyes, she fell back on him, resting softly on his arms. Naruto smiled when he looked at her. He knew she was now unconscious. The Death Knight quickly fixed up her bra and placed her underneath the futon, allowing her to sleep peacefully. His hands were trembling with anxiety the entire way. He couldn't believe that he managed to pull that off, for if he did lose himself, he pictured both Niji and Hayashi going after his throat. Naruto banished that fearful thought out of his head and went to the kitchen to get another cup of water. When he returned this time, He picked up the medicine bottle nearby and took out 2 small caplets. He silently opened Hinata's mouth and placed it in. It was then when the girl swallowed it, and then Naruto poured a bit of water in her mouth. He hoped the medicine helped her clear the alcohol that was in her. "Sleep well, my princess," Naruto said mentally as he kissed her on the forehead before heading off to the showers. He smiled at her one last time before entering. At daybreak, when the sun began to rise, its light shined brightly through the bedroom window and landed on the Hyuga girl's face. Her eyes twitched slightly at the blinding light. That alone caused her to wake up rather abruptly. As she rubbed her eyes due to the sleepiness it still had, she couldn't understand why her head was hurting a bit. She didn't recall a thing that happened last night. All she could remember was that she drank that sake and her mind suddenly dozed off. Her eyes widened suddenly. Where the heck was she? She didn't recall this place at all. When she looked at herself, she flushed immediately knowing she was only in her bra and panties. At this point, she desperately wanted to know what events occurred the previous night. The lavender-eye girl saw her tank top, jacket, and pants were all over the place as if someone tossed them aside rather recklessly. She immediately grabbed them and put them on as quick as her body could take her. Just when she was dressing, the door opened to reveal a dark figure standing rather solemnly. She gasped slightly when the action occurred. "You're awake," said the half-demon, clearly noticing she was trying to put on her pants. She blushed at this. She couldn't believe that her boyfriend suddenly came in like that. She needed her privacy. "Just because you're my boyfriend doesn't mean you have peeking privileges," Hinata said while her face was as red as a strawberry. The Death Knight simply smiled, or rather smirked a dark grin, and entered boldly, ignoring her previous statement. "Is that so?" he asked, not even looking at her or her body as he bent down to pick up his cloak. She frowned at the tone of voice he was using. It sounded both cold and suppressed disappointment. "You seemed pretty willing to be in such a state last night. What happened?" she asked as she slipped her shirt on and with the jacket afterwards. "You don't remember? If I did I wouldn't be asking you. How are you feeling this morning?" asked Naruto softly as he placed his palm on her forehead. "Just a small headache. It'll be fine after I take a few pills." "You drank a cup of sake last night and got drunk immediately," Naruto explained calmly. "I had no choice but to take you back here and let you rest." "How does that explain the part about me sleeping nearly?" she asked, holding his arm. "Did you take advantage of me when I was drunk? Did you take my clothes off while I wasn't conscious? I can't believe you." It was then when Naruto was outraged at her words. "What the hell are you talking about?" he scolded, changing his tone of voice immediately. Hinata silenced instantly at his rare outburst. Naruto would never shout unless he really had to. "You were seducing me the entire night. You wanted me to kiss you and all that. When I came back with your water you were already in your bra. You pinned me to the wall, the futon, the floor, and eventually you took off your pants and wanted my shirt to be removed. You were like, you weren't the Hinata I know. You scared me, damn it. I was afraid of you last night." "You don't have to be," she replied apologetically. "And why shouldn't I?" he continued with equal disbelief. "You think I could just make love to anybody? You think I'm prepared for this? I don't want the consequences behind it. I don't want to make you pregnant. I don't want Hayashi-sama and Niji to kill me since I defiled their daughter and cousin. Why can't you understand the pains that I'm going through? You're a Hyuga, a member of the most noble family in Konoha, and there are rules and regulations. I don't care about that. I only love you. If we did it last night, I won't regret any of it. You won't?" "I will. Yes, I admit it. I will regret that because I ruined your life forever. You may have a child. I'll get hunted down by your family and my blood will corrupt you. I am a half-demon. I can't do this kind of stuff. I don't want to hurt you, Hinata-chan. Why are you making my life difficult? I just want you to be happy," she argued angrily. "I know you never had a good life and you always lived it in fear of being not strong enough to defend yourself. I don't want you to feel that way anymore. I want you to know there are always good things in life. I love you, that's why I'm willing to do this for you. I don't want this. Why can't you see that I love you so much that I trust everything? Even making love with you, Naruto-kun. And you are ready? I've been for a long time." Naruto snickered darkly as if he was an insane maniac. He couldn't believe what she was saying. "Hinata-chan, I'm not ready. And I don't want to experience any of this good stuff in life without thinking about the result. I love you, but I can't do this. Why are you always being such a cold-hearted bastard? She questioned coldly. You push away everything that's given to you. You even wanted me away from your life. I thought that you would give things a chance and learn to enjoy life a bit more. Have you learned nothing from loving me? I learned a lot when I'm with you, Hinata-chan, said the Dark Warrior sincerely. But you think this improper action has no cost? If that's the case, I would have defiled many others already. You wouldn't? I know you will never do such a thing. You're right. I won't, not even when the chance is mine for the taking. Why? Why don't you understand that I want you to be the happiest man I can be? Hinata asked sadly. I know you love me. I love you too, but we can't deal with the consequences at this age. We are 13, not 23, where we could start our own family, and no one else can give a damn. We still have our lives to deal with. This wrongful undoing could be the end for the both of us. I don't care what others think. I love you. I'm willing to do anything with you. It's not about them this time, it's me. At that point, Hinata understood what he meant. He wasn't ready, and he meant it seriously. She felt guilty for doing what she did last night, even though she had no memory of it. She must have hurt him quite badly in the emotional department. I'm so sorry, Naruto-kun, she cried into his chest while hugging him. The Dark Warrior sighed softly and embraced her back, wrapping his arms around her waist. Did I really scare you last night? You did, Hina-chan. I'm sorry for yelling at you. No, it's my fault. I shouldn't have drank that sake. I shouldn't have done that to begin with. It hurts me so much when I hurt you. I am really sorry. It's okay, Hinata-chan, it's okay. He rubbed her back in a relaxing motion. She edged a bit in relief and tugged him close to her. She loved his touch and forgiveness for her. Naruto would never hold a grudge towards anyone. Hey, Hinata-chan, what is it? She asked, breathing softly to his cheek. Did you really mean it when you said you are ready for that? The girl nodded with an assuring smile. I hope you'll give me an opportunity to do it one day. She then embraced him in a more firm way but soothing nonetheless. I want it to be only with you. Naruto nodded and kissed her forehead tenderly, but she shifted her head to claim his lips. A smile reached his lips when she did that. Her delinquency was truly impressive. As he kissed her deeper, she didn't hesitate to return one with more passion. A vicinity near the town that early afternoon. Shouldn't we look for Tsunade-chan today, Naruto-kun? Asked Hinata, sitting under a tree while watching her boyfriend battle with several Kage Bunshins. Naruto then needed one in the gut. With his palm fully gathered of energy, he launched it at the clone's face using a death pact. The clone grunted in pain before disappearing in a cloud of smoke. Two other replications charged at the real Death Knight with their blades in a striking position. Naruto grinned darkly as he withdrew his weapons swiftly and defended. As the two clones attempted to gain the advantage, Naruto twisted slightly to loosen himself in that lock and made a deadly slice. One of the clones blocked successfully as the other came from behind, releasing a chain lightning. This isn't good, thought Naruto as he leaped high to the air, avoiding it. As he dodged the first attack, the other on the ground stood in a stance that Naruto was familiar with. He cursed himself mentally as he sensed the chakra that was being generated. I got you, said the clone as he released an unknowing jutsu to Hinata. Aerial shackle. Naruto's eyes narrowed as the chakra line net captured him completely. Naruto yelled in pain as the burning chakra made contact with his skin. Hinata gasped at the scene in front of her eyes while studying that technique carefully. The net was glowing orange. It was a beam coming from the runeblade and opens up into a burning web that captures anything and damages the victim gradually. It was then when the clone ejected high to the sky and started to spin in a forward manner, taking the captured Naruto with it. Hinata knew the clone was trying to gain much thrust. Aerial shackle throw! Shouted the replication as he violently slammed the Death Knight to the ground, creating a major crater on the soil. Hinata nearly screamed when she heard her boyfriend yelling in pain due to the crash. She didn't expect Naruto to take such a heavy and critical hit. As the clone disappeared in a cloud of smoke, Hinata rushed herself to the crater. She clasped her hands to her mouth when she saw Naruto trying to get back up in pain. However, his body was too weak to summon enough strength to even stand. He panted heavily before falling back down on his back. The Hyuga girl knew she had no choice but to take him out of this mess he created. Moments later, "Hold still, you bastard," she said, clearly not very delighted while tying a bandage on his left arm. "This isn't going to hurt a bit." As she formed a knot, she immediately used considerable force to tighten it, making the dark warrior wince in much pain. "Not so hard," Hinata-chan whispered Naruto, holding his new bandaged arm, not sounding like he was in pain. "You did that on purpose, didn't you?" "I do everything on purpose," she retorted, looking away cutely. "You know I was hurt. You didn't need to do that." "You should have been more careful training," she replied, closing the first aid kit that was in Naruto's backpack. She then silently slipped it back into his pack. "What if you got killed back there?" "Hey, I'll live," Naruto answered with a visible grin. "Somehow, right?" Her words were direct today. He made a quick note on that. "How could you have been so careless just now? You are really losing your touch, Naruto-kun." The Death Knight glanced at her slightly with a brow raised. It wasn't long when he soon smirked. "It's just my replications are getting stronger. There's no point in training with anything weak, you know. Still, you can't take things so easily, they are never what they seem. You really would have gotten hurt back there." She then held his hand with her own. "What if I wasn't there to help you? What would you do?" "Hey, Kyubi-chan won't let me die that easily. I'll heal in no time. Don't rely on your blood so much, okay? You worry if you're hurt." I know. He then kissed her on the cheek kindly. "Thanks for being here, Hinata-chan. As a free nurse?" she teased happily. "No, as a person who loves me." She then kissed him on the cheek as well. "That reminds me, what kind of jutsu was that?" Hinata asked excitedly as she removed her lips from him. "You know, the one that your Hokage Bunshin trapped you with. It seemed really cool." "You mean the aerial shackle?" Naruto recalled silently. "Yeah, that's it." "What does it do?" At that point, Naruto blinked several times at her sudden willpower, but seeing her cute face, he couldn't help but to give in. "The main purpose, of course, is to capture specific targets," explained Naruto. "It uses chakra to create a burning net, or web in a line and seize them. The net would hurt them gradually, and the damage is significant. Since it hurts the victim, the attack would render them powerless unless the prey is strong to break through it. This attack could only catch one person at a time. That's powerful. It's so versatile." Then she smiled brightly. "Can you teach it to me? You want to learn it?" "Well, it's only the two of us out here. I suppose it's the perfect time to do so." "Is it hard to learn?" asked the Hyuga girl, tilting her head a little. "It will take some time to know it, but I know you'll get it soon." It was then when Naruto led Hinata to the open area in front of them, and began their training. As usual, the Death Knight taught her how to utilize her chakra for this attack and showed her when to use it in a situation. The girl listened attentively, and followed every step given to her. She wanted to make him proud. She wanted to become stronger for her Naruto. Later in the early evening, "Hello," called Naruto silently as he walked to the bridge where Tsunade and Shizen were doing some sightseeing. Naruto smiled when he figured they weren't going to meet at a bar this time. "It's good to see the both of you." He glanced at Tsunade, who paid no attention to his presence. Her eyes were lying elsewhere. Naruto narrowed his eyes silently and looked at Shizen, who was bending down slightly to be at his level. "Naruto-kun, how are you right now?" greeted Shizen, brushing part of his hair aside. "You seem to be quite tired." "Yeah, I am tired. I had a tough time training." "Since when did my little brother have a hard time training?" teased the black hair attendant. "I get hurt enough times," admitted the demon hunter as he twisted his arm a bit to stretch. "I'll be okay." "Really? Hey, where's Hinata-san? I didn't think you would be here alone." "Hinata-chan? Don't worry about that, she's still training right now. I came out of this area to town to get some food for her." "Training? Were you training with her also?" "I was earlier until one of us had to get dinner for both. I lost this time in the game of rock, paper, scissors." Shizen shivered when she remembered the last time she played that game. "You win some and you lose some, that's the events of life, I suppose. If Hinata-san is training, let me guess, you are teaching her one of your techniques, right? You are always so sharp, aren't you?" asked Naruto rather slowly. "Sister, so what are you teaching her then?" asked Shizen. "Aerial shackle. Are you sure it's really beneficial to you to teach her that?" Shizen questioned with much worry. Naruto noticed her tone and watched her confusedly. I fail to understand what you're getting at. You and I both know Hinata-san is in love with you, Shizen explained and tried to use the most correct words. If you don't mind my bluntness, I think she's really madly in love with you. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out, said Naruto with an insignificant smile. Don't you worry that she may use that technique on you when she wants you close, Hinata-chan? If I know other women well, I know that she never wants you to be not by her side at any time. She always wants you to be around, and it pains her when she doesn't sense your presence. What if she wants to? I know Hina-chan's personality. I know she wouldn't misuse it, it's not like her. She seems to be really determined to learn it. I never seen her so willing, other than to kiss me or whatnot. That's my point, Naruto. She just wants to kiss you, you say? Are you sure? Hinata-chan would never abuse it, she knows better. When Shizen gave him a doubtful look, Naruto simply shook it off pretending that he never saw it. When did you learn to have a girlfriend? Learn? I never saw you with any girl before. You know you really hurt Rin's heart when you kindly rejected her love for you? Rin loves you too, you know. I can't help it when I only see her as a younger sister. There's no point in pretending to be something or somebody that you're not meant to be. I'm just glad that Rin took it optimistically. Yeah, you seem to be very cold today. Has Oba-chan begun to consider the offer that the village has offered her? The 5th Hokage is necessary. She really is the only person that could do this. I think she's still battling with herself to decide to do what's right. I'm sorry that she can't give you a direct response like how you wanted her to. It's not your fault, assured the Death Knight. I'm just beginning to question Tsunade's mind. Question? Are you saying that you think her loyalty belongs elsewhere? Your sharpness never ceases to amaze me, Naruto said with a grin. If she's been thinking so much about a simple answer for such a long time, it's a little hard for my suspicion not to rise when she can't make up for such a simple decision. You think that deciding to become a Kage is actually a simple decision to make, Naruto? Shizen asked with anger. What if the task was given to you to take charge? I will accept it. Easy for you to say. I say it's a lot easier to pick the offer Konoha gave you than the offer that the Snake Sannin made. Tsunade and Shizen's eyes widened. The Death Knight's smirk grew wider and darker as an immediate response. You think that you could hide a thing from my eyes? You are a fool to believe that you're good enough to hide your emotions from me. Don't take me for an idiot. So you knew from the start, said Tsunade finally. I don't know if I should consider myself unlucky that the envoy that was sent had this much potential. I'm not a hidden nin for nothing, said Naruto calmly. I can't believe that you're actually thinking about what Orochimaru offered you. I can't picture how my big sister would even consider something this absurd. Absurd? What do you know about absurdity? I clearly know what is ridiculous if you jeopardize people's lives because of a selfish decision. Snapped the demon hunter in rage. There are many things that we can't do just because we want to. If you help Orochimaru heal his arms, you are basically making the third sacrifice to be in vain. You are an assistance to the Konoha massacre. If he does attack again, you will be just as guilty as him. I get to see Nawaki and Dan again. I'm willing to do anything to be with them. Without thinking of the dangerous results, you are now just talking crap. I don't care if you do want to be the next Hokage or not, for it is not in my part to interrupt. But there is no possible way I will allow you to aid Orochimaru and his plan to invade Konoha. I never cared about Konoha from the start. I still hate it today. However, if you hurt those I care about in there, I will make sure you won't see daylight again. You dare to threaten a Sannin? Questioned Tsunade, seething her words in a deadly tone. Naruto smirked. I don't dare, Naruto declared devilishly. I do it without hesitation. The Sannin and her attendant took a step back slightly when they saw his teal eyes in a cold glare. Like I said before, you don't have to be the 5th, but aiding that bastard in his operation isn't something you should be too proud of doing. Not only that, I will promise that my blade will have your blood on it. Make the correct decision when the time comes. I want to hear the correct choice. Otherwise, I will end up destroying you. We will meet again. The Death Knight then turned around and continued walking without saying a single word. Tsunade had enough of his arrogance. At that moment she couldn't take it any longer, and charged right at him with a punch filled with killing intent. Shizen wanted to halt her, but she was too late when Tsunade first made contact with the back of Naruto's skull, sending him forward crashing to the dirt. "You better know the right words before you talk to me, little boy," snarled the Sannin dangerously. The Death Knight got back up from the ground holding his head in an unaffected manner. When he raised his head to meet Tsunade's eyes, his teal eyes were flashing radiantly with much hostility. "Resorting to violence are we now, Oba-chan?" asked Naruto in a direly calm and cold way. He sounded so collected that it was frightening. A dark smirk soon gradually formed on his lips. "You do know that two can play this game." It was then he unsheathed his blade and pointed it at the Sannin. "You will regret approaching me. Naruto-kun, stop this!" ordered Shizen sharply, but the boy paid no attention to her. It was then when the Sannin leaped high to the air and made a downward strike. The Dark Warrior made a simple retreat step to avoid the attack completely. However, when Tsunade stomped the ground, she created a piercing wave to trap the Death Knight's retreat. Noticing this attack, Naruto then blinked and appeared a considerable distance away from his opponent. He narrowed his eyes and focused with caution. Tsunade's massive strength didn't change one bit, thought Naruto as his eyes started to read the chakra levels on the blonde woman. "I can't get too close to her. Her brutality alone could take me down. I have to combat an assailant's method." The demon hunter then took a stride forward to achieve more agility in a dash. With his blade held high, he unleashed a forceful vertical slash downward aim to the head. The Sannin quickly reacted and managed to avoid it by shifting her body slightly. At the corner of her eye, she could tell her opponent was frustrated at his flaw. She then took a step to get into position, and then raised her leg to perform a kick. The Death Knight quickly held his weapon in a defensive guard without a second thought to block. As her foot made contact, Naruto grimaced at the force that was applied. He knew he nearly fell backwards because of it. Tsunade took this to her advantage and decided to punch his face when his focus was elsewhere. However, right before she first reached him, his body suddenly removed itself from existence, making her hit nothing but air. Her eyes narrowed since she knew the phase shift well. The next second, Naruto was already in a lowered position and elevated his leg in a heavy kick to her chin, sending her slightly upward. Shizen gasped when she saw the boy seizing this perfect opportunity to discharge his next onslaught. The Death Knight soon gave a series of kicks that continued to project the Sannin higher and higher to the air. Shizen could tell Tsunade wasn't able to block every single one of them. When he reached a high enough altitude, he boosted himself into a higher position than her and punched her down again. Using a slight twist to gain more speed, Naruto then elbowed hard in the stomach. Tsunade flinched in much pain. However, she soon vomited blood when the Death Knight used his leg to give an additional blow to the ribs. Once the Sannin crashed to the ground, the demon hunter prepared to execute the final burst of his attack. "Take this!" he shouted angrily as he readied his heel to crush his opponent. His eyes widened in shock when he felt his leg being held by somebody, ending it immediately. He looked down and saw Tsunade flashing a dangerous glare while gripping his leg tightly, preparing to counterattack. How did she do this? Tsunade then forcefully yanked him down, causing him to make contact with the ground with his entire body. Naruto grunted with irritation, but her attacks didn't end there. She soon lifted him high, holding on to his left leg, and then slammed him to the earth head first. The Death Knight then cried in much pain. But once again, the Sannin wanted him to suffer more. She then lifted him by the collar, and made a sprint with him acting as the human shield. With a high-speed charge, the Sannin smashed the demon hunter hard on the tree, causing him to throw up much blood. Her strength made the attack much more lethal than it seemed. The Sannin then held him from behind in a locking hold. However, she was attempting to crush his bones and suffocate him at the same time. Noticing her intentions, Naruto had no choice but to snap out of it and attack despite how badly hurt he was. The Death Knight then heavily elbowed the Sannin right in the gut, attempting to break free. Tsunade gasped at the pain being sent to her body, but she refused to release him. Naruto then tried harder to get his way. "Let go of me," gasped the demon hunter as he rushed his elbow again in the same spot. When he received the message that she wouldn't loosen her hold, he continued this process consecutively but with more intensity every time. Tsunade continued to spat out blood from her mouth as each force was plowed to her stomach. It wasn't long before her hold loosened to a state that he could break free. Seeing this chance, Naruto quickly summoned enough strength to fling away her arms. She gasped when her hold no longer constricted him. The Death Knight then executed a knee blow to her gut. He then immediately used a swift turn and kicked her ribs with a heavy spin kick. As her guard was down, he punched her left cheek, making her fall to the ground pitifully. It was then when prepared to end her life with his blade ready to guillotine her head. "Faithless fool!" shouted Naruto with his eyes filled with lust for death. As he attacked, he winced in rage as his blade sliced through a slug that was summoned to protect Tsunade. His face soon grew to a devilish grin as he projected the blade deeper into the summoned unit. The women's eyes shot wide open in much startle. The slug twitched in agony as the weapon made it deeper into its flesh. It was then when Naruto lifted his rune blade, violently slicing the slug in half. Shizen's eyes widened in absolute fear as blood splattered in every direction. What frightened her even more was the boy's eyes. They showed no remorse or any other feeling. He licked the blood that was on his face and tasted it with much enjoyment. As the summoned unit fell dead, it disappeared in a cloud of smoke. "You killed me," Tsunade mumbled, stuttering quite badly. "You like to summon?" Naruto asked while breathing a bit heavily. Tsunade and Shizen didn't know if he was going insane or if he was worn out. "You like to play with heavy artillery?" He then raised his blade, charging with much demonic chakra. "I'll destroy you and everyone in it." His weapon flashed brightly with energy and prepared to strike the ground, creating a who knows what attack. Both ladies knew this was too devastating to be any regular jutsu. Shizen then immediately, without thinking, held him in an embrace. "Naruto-kun, stop it!" Shizen ordered as he held him tight. Naruto looked at her with a dark look. If Shizen was his opponent, he would have ended her life for pulling that stunt. "Release me, Shizen-chan," Naruto declared, telling her to let go of this instant. "My enemy isn't you. If you don't wish to ruthlessly waste your life, don't make yourself in that category. Why are you fighting your own allies? You call people who want to associate themselves with a traitor an ally? Don't make me laugh. If you kill Tsunade-sama, how would Konoha have the 5th Hokage? It's better for me to just end her life now. Weeping like a sissy all the time, this won't change shit. A person is dead, they will remain dead, so just get over it. They won't want to return to see their home Konoha burned to the ground and ruled by the sound, will they? So don't even think of something as stupid as to help that bastard Orochimaru." He then released himself from the hug. "Like I said, you made the wrong choice. I'll make sure you won't live to see another daybreak again." The Death Knight then walked across the bridge to town without saying another word. When the women no longer felt his presence, Tsunade broke down and cried out loud. Shizen kneeled next to her and tried to be the best of help to comfort her master. Later that evening, around a few hours later, Naruto returned to his designated inn during that evening in a tired state. As he entered the key card to his door, he felt the temperature of the food to make sure if it was at least in a decent warmth. "It's a bit cold," thought Naruto, frowning a bit. "I'm sure Hinata wouldn't mind too much. Wait a sec, I bought sushi. Of course it would be cold." He then opened the door and entered silently. "Hinata-chan, are you here?" Naruto called out as he put the food in the kitchen. "I'm here, Naruto-kun," said another voice that seemed to be in the distance. The Death Knight sighed, knowing that she was back. He would be quite worried himself if she was still out there. "I brought dinner back just like you said Naruto with a grin. "What did you buy?" she asked. This time her voice was closer. "Sushi. You like it? I thought you would have bought ramen," teased the Hyuga girl who was at the door looking at him amusedly. Naruto smiled at her clothing. She was wearing a night robe. At least she wasn't seducing him this time around. "No, I like it. I don't love it." "Don't love it?" she asked, surprised as she felt his forehead. Naruto looked at her and smiled. "I thought that Naruto-kun always loved ramen." "Hinata-chan, I don't have a fever." "Then what am I supposed to assume?" "You know I was very poor back then. Ramen was the only thing I could afford. Despite how much I wanted to at least try something different, I didn't have the money to buy anything else. I'm sorry to hear that, and I was teasing you back there." "It's okay." Naruto patted her shoulder a bit as he carried the food outside to the table. Hinata narrowed her eyes at his silent behavior. She knew something was up. "Naruto-kun, what's wrong?" "Nothing much. I just had a talk with Oba-chan before I brought dinner. What did you guys talk about? Nothing much, said Naruto again while picking sushi with his chopsticks. I make my point straight to her to make the correct decision. I even told her what I will do if she doesn't. What did you tell her then? I will kill her if she helps Orochimaru. Orochimaru? Shouted Hinata, shocked. How did this happen? Why is he involved in this mission? What did he say to Tsunade-chan to make her refuse the 5th Hokage offer? Is he the reason why Tsunade-chan didn't accept the request right away? I don't know why Oba-chan is even struggling with this. Naruto lowered his head, irritated to a certain extent. If she does help Orochimaru, I will be forced to kill her without question. You don't want her to die, do you? I don't want her to make foolish mistakes either, stated Naruto, looking at his girlfriend with slight guilt. When he saw her lavender eyes, they showed nothing but concern. I don't know what to do. I don't want her to be hurt, but at the same time I can't jeopardize those who are in Konoha. Niji, Sakura-chan, Sasuke, Lee, Rin-chan, Gaara-san and many others will be ruthlessly destroyed, and Konoha will be burned to the ground if that happens. If this decision is critical, mistakes aren't something we could have enough of. If you don't know what to do, what can the rest of us do to persuade her? Persuading someone can't use force. But in this circumstance a bit more direct words must be used to get through her thick skull. What kind of offer did Orochimaru use? He used the fact that he would reborn her loved ones from the past as a trade. It's only understandable that Tsunade would consider it. Damn it, humans are too soft for their own good. What if Orochimaru revived your father? Would you feel something? My father? I have no intention to see him. He's better off dead. Don't you feel a thing for your loved ones if they do return? What if I died? That's different. You're not the same as my father. How do you expect me to feel about a person I've never met in my life? That's totally absurd, Hinata-chan. Naruto argued. He's your father, why wouldn't you show any sort of remorse? Because he's a human and I am a half-demon. He's Konoha's greatest paladin. I am that village's most feared death knight. Hinata was at a loss for words. You want me to be blunt, Hinata-chan? I'll tell you, I hate him. You don't hate him, Naruto-kun, said the Hyuga girl kindly. Don't try to put words in my mouth, countered Naruto, now indeed not cheerful. I hate him for what he did to me, giving me such a pitiful life. He was the one that was completely responsible for this destiny. Father is nothing but one of the targets I have in life that I want to kill. He's dead. If he comes back to life, I will make sure that he goes back to the grave that he rightfully deserves. Those who make my life miserable deserve the penalty of death, whether it's a stranger or family. If it's family, I won't shed a single tear, for they aren't worthy to have any mercy. Naruto-kun, Tsunade won't hurt our loved ones as long as this corrupted body is able to draw air, Naruto continued as he stood up. I'm full already. If you need me, I'll be in the room. As Naruto removed himself from the living room and made his way to the bedroom, the Hyuga girl then took the remaining food to the fridge and followed him. Naruto-kun, she called as she entered. Naruto was currently kneeling with a grimace on his face. Hinata then, as if it was a womanly instinct, she bent down to embrace him. The Death Knight's eyes opened when he felt her presence. He soon held her hand and gripped on it gently. Hinata-chan, thank you. If you have anything that is bothering you, you can talk to me, she said as she kissed his neck in a peck. I don't want you to store things inside yourself. I don't have the ability to read your thoughts as clearly as you do. It pains me to see you like this. I'm sorry, Hinata-chan, it's just that this situation has really been much more complex than I first imagined. I don't know what I can do. I'll always be on your side helping you, she assured as she pulled him a little closer to deepen the embrace. I know we'll find a way. The demon hunter nodded with a sincere smile and embraced the girl back. Hinata smiled when he returned the hug. She was grateful that she helped him at least a bit. What would I do if you weren't here? Naruto asked her with a grin. The Hyuga heiress then looked at him smiling. I guess I would really be in a bundle, I'm glad to be here with you. It was then they kissed each other and enjoyed each other's presence. Not long after, they shared another long and passionate kiss. Many days later, after the encounter of Orochimaru, damn it, cursed Naruto as he suddenly sat up from his futon one morning. It was clear that he was sleeping before. Hinata heard his cursing and glanced up to him with sleepy eyes. The Hyuga girl reached out and held his hand softly with a smile. "You okay, Naruto-kun?" asked Hinata as she watched him with sincere care. "You seem to be very worried. What's wrong?" "I won't sense Tsunade's presence nearby." "Damn, has she decided to deal with that bastard after all? What should we do?" "You know what, we're going to look for Shizen-chan. I'll fix breakfast, you get dressed, okay?" Hinata nodded and the duo acted as quickly as their bodies took them. In less than 30 minutes later, the delinquent duo dashed out of the inn and ran as quickly as they could to the place Shizen was in. Moments later at Tsunade's inn, with Hinata Spyakugan, the Death Knight and the Hyuga girl both jumped to the second-floor balcony of the room Tsunade was in. When the duo saw into the room, they found Shizen knocked out on the ground. Unsheathing his weapon, Naruto released a small lightning beam at the locks of the slide door to open it. As the small explosion was created, Hinata quickly opened the door and went by Shizen's side. "Oh great," cursed Naruto looking around at the surroundings. "What the hell happened here? Hinata-chan, is she okay?" "I think she just fainted from pain. It's nothing that serious." "That's good to hear." The attendant then twitched a bit. Her eyes told the teens she was waking up. "Shizen-chan, are you okay?" The woman then ended up immediately. That action nearly hit Hinata in the face. "What time is it? Which day of the week is it?" asked Shizen in a panic. "It's about slightly after 8 in the morning," answered Hinata. "It's Thursday." Naruto added without much emotion. "Where's Tsunade-sama?" asked Shizen desperately wanting to find out. "That's what I want to ask you," stated the Death Knight slowly. "If I know her, she must have went out to find Orochimaru. Why would she do that? I thought she would have thought about it more carefully." "That makes the two of us," Naruto said dully and irritated. "Shizen-chan, why were you lying on the ground just now? Did Tsunade knock you out so you wouldn't interfere with her choice?" The attendant nodded slightly. "Damn it, I should have killed her when I had the chance." "Don't start talking about killing, Naruto-kun," said Hinata. "I'm sure Tsunade-sama had a good reason." Shizen tried her best to defend her master, but the Death Knight gave a sharp glare silencing her directly. "What should we do? We can't just stay here," the Hyuga girl said, tugging at the boy. "Stop stating the obvious," stated the demon hunter, narrowing his eyes at the heiress. "Then we have to get going. If we look for her now, we should still be able to catch up with her," suggested Shizen. "All three of us have to leave now," said Hinata. "What are you waiting for?" Naruto turned his head away from her with a grimace. The Hyuga girl wondered what could be bothering him. "Naruto-kun?" "No," said Naruto finally with a hint of guilt in his voice. "Not all of us will be going." "What are you talking in a quick pace?" Naruto then hit her at the back of her neck, causing her to faint. She then fell into his arms in an unconscious state. He rested her on the bed and kissed her forehead gently before turning to Shizen. "Shizen-chan," the demon hunter declared with remorse. Shizen could tell he didn't want to hurt the young girl. "Let's go find her." With a nod, the two remaining shinobis then sprinted out of the inn, leaving the Hyuga heiress behind to commence the pursuit.